The missed.
Hello and welcome back to the Saladcast E3 special 2018. And continuing with the press conferences.
Imagine crowd noise now.
Woo!
Crowd noise.
And what have we got up?
What is the up? We have got. You did that. Ubisoft.
Yep, imagine a marching band.
Imagine. Oh yeah. See what you did there. Because, you know, it's a Ubisoft.
Because fucking Just Dance, obviously.
Yep, and you have to start with Just Dance and the Panda.
Because that's apparently going to be a thing.
The Panda.
I mean, well...
I think it must have been a thing for, like, at least a decade now.
Well, no. The Panda was a thing only because it became a meme after last year. So obviously they had to play into it this year. Don't know if it will survive into next year.
Okay.
Because once the meme has become recognised, it's clearly just old now.
I mean,
old readers up.
It's nice of Ubisoft to basically just get it out of the way.
Well, that's what they've been doing basically all the last E3s.
Yeah, I mean, it's smart, right? It's not none of the actual industry wants to hear about Just Dance, but they kind of have to show that it's there. So just do a number and then be done with it.
And this time they didn't even spend any time talking about it. They didn't have a who was the best dancer in the room or any of that bullshit. They were just like, nope, that's title on screen, release date, and no one has to say anything at all. Everyone just walk off the stage.
Didn't even have a random celebrity.
No.
Mildly disappointing. But sorry to all those that entered the sweepstakes.
It did take far too long, in general.
I mean, yeah, it was a bit long, but I guess they had to get through the medley of songs.
They didn't have to get through anything. They could have made it one song shorter.
Well, except that last song is kind of the poignant one, right?
So they had the first one.
They had to put Elton John's "I'm Still Standing" in there, right? Because of the whole this is our subtle dig at not being bought out by Vivendi, or
maybe
I'm still standing. Got to be right? Otherwise, why else would they suddenly put "I'm Still Standing" in there?
Because they got the license for the game.
Yeah. All right. Moving swiftly along. Despite the fact we know that Beyond Good and Evil 2 is incredibly early in development still, that hasn't stopped them from making another CG trailer.
Well, and attempting to show gameplay, kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of, but not. And they have sort of shown that there's hey, we're working on bow staff combat, prior to the show. I mean, I thought that trailer was good. Maybe not as good, maybe not as good as that first one, but the monkey's voice makes me laugh every time. It's just nada, it just sounds so out of place, weirdly, for any game. But yeah, looks cool. I suppose the odd thing is the Joseph Gordon-Levitt driven hit record creative input thing.
Yep,
that's weird, right? So I don't know. It's weird for someone in Ubisoft's position to be considering this as their route, right?
I don't know. Just how they wanted to do some community thing, and it was convenient. They I don't know how maybe someone who worked at Ubisoft just happened to know about this thing, and they was like, "Oh, we can use this." But it was just "Oh, let's find a way we can generate some goodwill with our community whilst also exploiting them for house assets."
Well, yes, there is that. I mean, it's in some respects, it's a pretty great idea, right? Because if they want to build a city and they want it to have random stuff everywhere, then yeah, that's a pretty great place to going collaborative is probably the best way to do that, right? To get the various just get a random selection.
Yeah.
If what they're going for is, I suppose Beyond Good and Evil's key message has always sort of been one of inclusivity, right? And
I guess,
or one of its messages, and they seem to be pushing that with its roster, with its cast this time. So it's yeah, why not be inclusive in our assets too?
Inclusive of
Pigmen, yeah,
and skull robots,
and talking Cockney monkeys.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a neat idea. I think there's been some I haven't read into it deeply, but I think there's been some sort of weird backlash against it because, of course, it's different and weird.
Well, there's backlash against it initially because they failed to say during the press conference that it is actually you do get paid if they use your art.
Oh, do they?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't think that.
That's why the backlash happened, because they didn't mention that in the press conference, and then later on Twitter, like, Jordan goes to JGL, was on there saying, shit, we fucked up the script and I should have said that, and yes, it's a thing, you do get paid. So,
fair enough.
That cleared that up, I guess.
Okay. So, well, just to make good, right, and be like, hey, we're not just taking this for free. It's
not just a quote-unquote competition.
I don't know. If a bit of my music ended up being in there, I'd be pretty stoked. I'm not sure I'd care.
Sure. I mean, that was the perspective a lot of people were taking, where it was like, surely the prize is just the fact that you're in this game.
Exposure, yo.
Well,
I mean,
some people will say exposure is like a bullshit.
I mean, it is.
But just for being a fan, just being in the game might be enough, but it'd be nice if you got paid as well, sure.
Yeah. I suppose that's... I guess in a way, like, the money aspect might be a way of actually getting pros in. Sure. Maybe.
I mean, I expect they wouldn't have picked anything less than good out of it.
And, the whole collaborative mindset of it means, like, that even if someone like me perhaps submitted something, it's like it wouldn't go in without some heavy critique.
Yeah.
And I've been lucky to have had a very light experience of that through OC Remix, but very light. Normally it comes back as just a thumbs up. So
this exists, good enough.
Yes. maybe trim the highs a little bit. Always my problem. Stop sending shivers down people's spines when you don't need to. I'm sure Dan will attest to that. I think you've told me that on some of my older tracks before. Like, drop those, those highs. They're making me tingle a little, or something.
Really?
Yeah, something like nails on a chalkboard effect or something. Something like that.
Is that what I said about your music? That's not good.
No. I think you have sort of said that. I think it's some of the early stuff. Do you remember Funge? I think might have been the track where you were just like, where I pushed it way too high. Anyway, no one will know what I'm talking about.
Makes sense.
High passed it a little too high. But the funniest part of this was obviously when, and this was a problem throughout the show.
Yep, they need to fire whoever does their audio.
Oh boy. Whoever was controlling the mic volume primarily left them on for way too long. So as the people left the stage, like the lady was so excited, she was like, "We nailed it!"
Yep.
It's like yes, be excited at your presentation, but I don't know. We don't need to. I mean, at least in this case, it was somewhat endearing.
Yeah.
Like, she's obviously passionate about the thing. She's probably not a speaker. It's just
like whoever Ubisoft has to do their audio has fucked it up like several years in a row at this point. Like hot mics constantly. You thought they would have learned by now.
Yeah.
Or just told everyone who goes on stage not to say anything until like 30 seconds after they've left the stage, just to be on the safe side.
I mean, the weirder one came a bit later. We'll come to that.
Well, there was another one later on where I think it's not even just hot mics. I think on one of the things they fucked up the actual audio mix as well, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
Like when we get to Skull and Bones, the trailer of that, it sounded echoey, like it was running through the auditorium output as well.
Something was very weird at that point. It seemed like certain audio was only coming out of left channel to some degree, more than the right. Like I thought vocal tracks seemed clearer on the left.
Yeah.
And it just sounded really odd. Yeah. They had some technical issues here. But generally a pretty good show. Let's just, let's get that out of the way there. It's like, relatively slick. It's the same as what Ubisoft's been doing the last few years.
Without a funky presenter.
Without a presenter. But they didn't do that last year either. No. Rainbow Six Siege, they're still doing stuff. They're doing something called Another Mindset for it.
It's a documentary about
esports. That was it, yeah. Esports documentary. Which they didn't say whether that would be charged for or whether it's coming out on Uplay or where to find that.
It will be released at our event later this year.
Siege Fest or Six. Well, they just call them Six, don't they? Like their tournaments.
And at the end of that, it sounded distinctly like someone yawned through the hot mic.
Yes, I remember that. It was like really like a comedy, like Homer Simpson.
No one cares.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, it was great. Trials Rising, suitably bonkers entrance by I assume one of the devs or the Red Lynx studio. I noticed they're now called Ubisoft Red Lynx. So I guess they got acquired at some point, and I missed that.
Ride a bike down the middle of the hall, except not really ride exactly.
Yeah,
but,
sort of trundle it.
Trundle a bike down the middle of the hall, and then comedy.
Yeah, it'd be like, stunts and bales. I need to break this fake demo stand. No need for that. But also that Trials game. I'm looking at it thinking, I think this is like them trying to do like a greatest hits Trials game by the looks of it. It's like it's got bits of all of the previous ones.
Does it? I don't know.
Yeah, there's like lots of repeat, like lots of environments that we'd seen before. Maybe not Trials Fusion. There seems to be a lot less fusion in there.
I don't know if you call any Trials environments like an environment that is like reused exactly. It's just like it's a generic sort of forest or a town or
the warehouse and the pikey factory.
It's just like it's not exactly a like thing that's not you can't exactly say it's directly reused. It's just like it's just another warehouse.
I guess. But there's something about there is a style to that warehouse, like the sort of windows they used to have in the background.
Just like if it is reused, it's just reused a texture.
Yeah.
And then they had an instance of a YouTube guy. Got to have a YouTube guy.
YouTube guy?
Yeah, the other dude who came on stage and talked about Trials University and how he was with making tutorials, and he breathed too much in the mic because he's not mic trained.
Or they just positioned it wrong.
Well, yeah, that possibly considering all that other audio playups, also possible.
That was weird to say the least. It's like, oh hey, we've hired a guy you might know maybe to do the tutorials in our game.
More of their community thing.
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, it's one of those things. Like, it probably made sense to like 2 people that were watching the stream. Like, a very small portion of people would have played the game and have watched that guy, I guess. But
maybe, yeah.
I don't think Trials has much of a community like that. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. February 2019, anyway, for that. Another February game.
Yep.
Lots of Februarys.
Get delayed.
And also, this might be the first mention of someone like specifically calling out, and it's on Switch!
Well, Ubisoft have stuff on Switch.
Yeah, but I very specifically said it. It's like, I'm on Switch! Then we got a Division 2 look again. Is there anything different in this second run through? Or
well, they mentioned that they're putting in raids, 8-player raids, and they had kind of announced the release schedule for updates for Division 2, which is fairly funny when you consider they're barely even done with Division 1 at this point.
Yeah, they're just occasionally still updating it, and at least they said like the first year of content is going to be free.
Yeah,
and it's only like Season 2 or whatever if they do more of it that's going to be bundled in. Whereas I think all of the content in Division 1 was paid extras. Then we've got some Mario and Rabbids. They're going back to it to talk about the I think what was the name of it, because it gets really long now. So it's Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Donkey Kong Jungle Adventure,
something like that.
Adventure.
Yeah, a really long name now. There might have been another plus in there as well. Like Donkey Kong plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle plus Donkey Kong. I mean, it's hard to tell from that trailer what the actual game entails. But
briefly, it's the same game.
I mean, naturally it was going to be more like that. But apparently, like the Donkey Kong mechanics are, to people that have played it, are pretty tricky. It's a not all that easy expansion. It will be unforgiving. And this is where the second mic mishap happened, where clearly the people who were doing this demonstration were not happy with how it went.
One of them wasn't.
Yeah, because because one of them sort of apologized briefly and was like, I'm not sure what happened. I didn't know they changed the script there. And then I'm sure the other guy went, every day is a joke.
No, the guy says, I'm sorry. The backstage guy was like, I'm sorry they changed your entrance. And the other guy was like, happens every time or something along those lines.
It was something like, no, it was more like he said like something is a joke. Like he was not happy.
A joke. I think he said it happens every time. Well, it happens all the time. Every year or something.
Anyway, hot mics.
Yep.
Skull and Bones.
Weird audio.
With the weird audio, yeah, but we'll ignore that as much as we can. I thought that showed pretty well. I mean, it's kind of what it says on the tin. They've just sort of taken. It's exactly what we thought it was. Like, it doesn't seem to be anything more than that. It's the Assassin's Creed boat stuff, sort of spun out, and
Yeah.
It seems very similarly controlled. You know, you look around to aim your shots, and
It looked like almost too fast.
yeah,
Like,
it did look really quick.
really fast, but I guess they just thought it was more fun, I suppose.
Yeah,
I like the way the camera moves around. That's really cool. I think it looked quite good. It looked a bit grimy again. Like, I don't know, but
I think there's a
there's a
sort
lot
of
of detail.
I think there's a certain. This might be just a modern game thing, right? I think there's a certain lack of when you convert modern game footage down to video for these shows or whatever. We're getting to the point where we've been at this point, I suppose, for a while, but it really loses something compared to watching it like on a proper.
Well,
it's big. In your house.
A lot of it is that like game footage more than most kind of footage is like got a lot of fast moving detail for the compression to handle, right? So it's like everything. It's like everything is an action sequence basically. So it's like
but I think a lot of these, like when it's compressed down for E3 and things like that, you end up with a sort of hyper contrast. Like everything,
Right, yeah.
The darks are too dark and the lights are too light, and everything ends up looking kind of mushy somehow. There's a blurriness to it that's just not there when you're doing it for real. You know, there's all kinds of things that end up being a bit wrong with it. And there might just be motion, as I say. Maybe there's something like motion capture, like as you say, like maybe some compression artifacts, something like that. Yeah, there's something very not sharp about this sort of footage, but for some reason, because this was so bright, I guess, in the middle of the wherever they are, where did they say they were? Indian Sea, is it?
Indian Ocean or something,
Yeah,
because it was like piracy is dead. Let's redo piracy somewhere else.
Yeah,
because the Caribbean's no good anymore for some reason. Too many.
It'd be interesting.
I don't know. Too many Royal Navies.
It's interesting that they made it sound like there's at least some single player content to it, but does that single player content then morph to a multiplayer co-op thing on occasion? Like, how did that bit work? Because they were like, or were those other ships just AI or something?
No, I think there definitely is like multiplayer.
That appears on screen. It says "invite to group" when you're looking at them through the telescope. So I guess they are players.
I guess. Then how did that mission play out? Or was that just like a quest that they just happened to do out in the open? Like, it wasn't really a story mission per se. It was just them setting it up.
Yeah, maybe.
Potential for a little bit too much Sea of Thieves by the looks of it. Yeah. Maybe like, hey, this mission's done. Blow each other up.
Insert some PvP in there unnecessarily.
Yeah. You know, is going to probably go bad.
Fine if it's a PvP mode, but don't just jam it into everything.
I mean, it's interesting that when they did the boarding as well. It's like normally in Assassin's Creed, this would be where you took over and be like, okay, now I'm like stepping back from the wheel and I'm going to go board it and I'm going to go fight some guys. And it's like in this, it was just like boarding done.
Well, or they didn't show it.
Yeah, or they didn't show it. Yeah. Yeah, I wonder. I don't know. I bet he's like, maybe this is the Sea of Thieves game maybe we want. Just slightly less comedy.
I mean, everyone liked that part of Black Flag, so making a whole game out of that is kind of a no-brainer, really. Yeah,
but if you remember when I was talking about it, I thought that stuff ended up getting quite stale.
Yeah.
Over the course of Black Flag. So it's like...
But that's because it didn't have the depth of like a full game, because it wasn't the whole experience.
Yeah, I guess. But then I haven't really seen anything that necessarily elevates that too much. There's definitely like they've upped the quality obviously, and they've upped the fidelity, and I liked the guy hanging around in the crow's nest to seeing things, and
yeah, that was cool.
How much of that is simulated when he sees stuff and shouts at you and things like that, and how much is that if I was doing something else, for instance, would I still get those shouts, and how good is that stuff? It's like that. How does that all work? Yeah, and I do worry about the depth of it in a similar way that you could the depth before, and I wasn't really all there.
Yeah, makes sense.
Did they talk about For Honor at some point? Because I think I've missed it off my list. Oh no, I did. I did. Yeah. Elijah Wood turns up in person to talk about transference.
He forgets his lines.
Yeah, totally forgot his lines. Like or the auto cue went wrong or something. Because he stood there for a moment and just went, "Oh God!" Like I was like, "Oh no!" He just stopped and went, "Oh no!" Like in the middle of a sentence. And then carried on. It's like, "Oh, yeah, very pro from the actor." Anyway, that game is coming out this year. And
that game still exists.
It still exists. It's still a VR thing. And I still find it quite hard to tell you what it is. I assume it's just like an experience. I'm not sure how much game there is to it. Like, I suppose you interact to push it forward, but yeah, don't know. I'm not 100% sure I expect a great deal from it. Other than it might be a cool story, or it might be a cool 20-minute thing, a bit like that Psychonaut thing. Starlink
still exists.
Was it called Battle for Atlas?
Maybe
something to do with Atlas.
Makes it sound like No Man's Sky.
I mean, I have to say, a bit of me thinks this game actually looks pretty cool.
Apart from the bit when you remember that you have to have the bullshit ship thing.
Yeah.
It's like a big cool game if you didn't have to deal with that and the dumbness of that.
Which they didn't lean on that heavily this time.
No, which was kind of weird.
I mean, they showed it briefly in a couple of cutaways, but they didn't necessarily make a big deal of the thing, like, other than when Miyamoto just happened to be there because they've put Star Fox content into this thing. And they gave him a model, and it's like, oh, is that one of the actual models? Like, is that what I can connect to my controller?
Probably.
I mean, I want one of those.
But that one won't even be useful because you won't be able to change any parts of it.
Don't care. It's an R-Wing. It beats everything. I mean, I might be in for that reason alone. Like, I want an R-Wing. And want to play like a Star Fox game that looks like it might be better than Star Fox Zero.
Might be Star Fox in a completely different game is better than an actual Star Fox game.
Better than that last one.
I wouldn't have thought so.
You're probably right. For Honor is getting more updates. They're getting a new campaign by the looks of it.
Wow. Sort of well, I don't know if you call it campaign. It's more like a game mode.
No, maybe. Well, yeah, there was that too. The Castle Siege stuff.
Yeah.
Now with China, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah. So, like another faction and a new mode, kind of. That's probably it.
Yeah, maybe there'll be a mini story or something. Who knows? But they also announced that if you get in there quick, the For Honor Starter Edition, whatever that is, I actually don't know what's in this thing. Has it got the campaign in it? In which case, that's kind of cool. Or is it like just get some vague access to the multiplayer? Like, available for free to keep on Uplay right now. Probably for a limited period. So I've at least claimed it, and Uplay does the nice thing where, like, if you claim something, it doesn't immediately start downloading it, like every other platform does. Like, all Xbox does anyway. It's like...
Well, Origin usually doesn't. You claim that free stuff.
I've heard PlayStation might not either now, actually. I think Origin did at one point.
Yeah.
Where it would just immediately start downloading, and it's like, no, I'm not actually going to play this right now. I'm just going to be cheeky and claim it for my library on the off chance I ever want to play Theme Hospital. Yeah, there's that. And we had some... Didn't really have any gameplay, but they showed another sort of trailer of Crew 2.
Yeah.
I mean, if that was all in engine, looks pretty good. I have opted to be in the beta for that as well to give you a proper opinion.
If you can.
It's open beta. I think everyone's allowed in.
Yeah.
As long as you've got a Uplay account. Yeah, I thought it looked actually pretty good. They're sort of... I don't know, they seem to be leaning away from it being a... Well, I don't even really know what you even call the first Crew game. It's like it's open world driving, but open world driving in the Ubisoft way. Like, go to market, do a thing. But I suppose it's all open world games, but, you know, like, you can go to Radio Tower, unlock map. And it's like, this just I don't know, something about this just looked like a lot of fun and quite impressive. And, F1 cars. Proper F1 cars at that.
Red Bull sponsored.
Yeah. I don't know. Is it any do anything for you guys, the Crew 2? Or is it just like, is it nothing compared to Forza?
Yes. Yes, Forza Horizon I would like to play. The Crew I don't care about.
Fair enough. I haven't won you. June 29th. So, out real soon. Or maybe June 29th was the beta date. Oh, I don't know.
It's like, okay, now there's different vehicles and stuff beyond cars, but you didn't manage to make driving cars that fun the last time, I don't think. So.
Yeah, I think that's what everyone's biggest problem with the original Crew was, is that the driving model wasn't great, or it didn't feel right.
Can't go that wrong with the Forza driving model.
No, it's been pretty solid for a long time now. Alright. And then how about some more Assassin's Creed? Anybody?
Where are we going?
Greece. Cool setting.
Sounds good to me.
But then Egypt was a cool setting. I like their sort of ancient style.
Yeah, ancient. Maybe they'll do ancient Rome as well, because they've done Renaissance Rome.
Yeah, and they pulled Roman elements into Origins, and looks like there's a bit of Roman influence in this as well. Just because of the time period the Romans were kind of about.
I don't know if they were in that specific time period of Greece.
I don't know, there's some very Roman-looking stuff.
Greece is quite Roman-looking.
I guess.
Anyway, that seems cool.
Yeah, I don't know quite what...
But, of course, they showed it off by being like, okay, here's gameplay, and then here's a standard follow mission.
Yeah, here's a follow mission followed by... Well, we got interrupted and had a fight. Was how that worked, right? You were following someone, and then...
I don't think that was really a follow mission. It was like a walk and talk for 2 seconds and then go leave and do the thing.
But then you got chased by... Well, it went bad and you got spotted.
Well, getting spotted, I think that was more like here's our version of the Nemesis system. There's just going to be random other people around the world who are looking for you.
Yeah. Well, I thought it worked pretty well, and that fight looked kind of cool. Yeah. And I mean, they didn't show any of the Assassin's Creed trappings from the last game too much.
I'm not sure this actually has anything to do with Assassin's Creed at this point. They've maybe given up on having any semblance of the Assassins even.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the last one was... I mean, I haven't played it, and so I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure the last one had very little...
I mean, that was meant to be the origin story, so that made kind of sense that there wouldn't be too much of it in that one. Right at the end, maybe. But in this one, it's just you're not even close to Egypt, and you're in the same kind of time period, sort of.
Cool that you have a choice in character now, though. I think that's, this is just them finally realizing the whole thing with Unity, that they we can't do female characters as well. That means twice as much work. Even though they sort of then in Syndicate they had a female character, but it's not a choice. It wasn't a choice. That character was just there. It's now it's choice, and it's oh, we finally did it. We did it, guys. We got there.
The other thing about this that makes it seem less like Assassin's Creed kind of is just apparently when it's just now it's just magic. You just have magic.
Magic Eagle.
Well, not the Magic Eagle. I'm talking about the shockwave and stuff, because you have the sword, broken spear of what's his face. You can do weird magic attacks.
Yeah, I've forgotten about that completely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess that's a piece of Eden, right?
Maybe. I mean, you could excuse it if it was this is just Abstergo making the game more fun.
Oh, yes.
Because, of course, that's where Assassin's Creed started the game, but then they kind of forgot about that as well.
Yeah. I was having a conversation the other day with someone who wouldn't normally play games like this, but did have a passing interest in Origins simply because of its educational mode, right? And
just going around and looking at ancient Egyptian stuff,
and actually having it as a historical reference and things like that. And it's so a bit of me really hopes they double down on that and do that again, because I remember playing even the first Assassin's Creed games where I really didn't know a lot about. At least in the first one, I knew nothing about the area. So when it popped up, it was hey, you got a database entry about this thing. I actually read them, right? And and I did that in Assassin's Creed 2 as well. But as the series went on, that information got less and less, either less and less forthcoming, or just less and less relevant to the. They didn't try and tie it to the story in any way. It was just there, or the information wasn't actually all that informative. So I ended up not reading all that stuff. So it's like, I don't know, if done right, this stuff could be really cool, right? It's just anyway, little inside knowledge. Like the educational mode might draw people into this that might not otherwise care.
Not sure what they like. Not sure about their depiction of Socrates.
What's well, it's the same character they always have as like that role,
well,
right?
Sure. The Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, they always do that. Who did they have in the stupid Victorian Britain one?
Darwin? I don't know.
Yeah, was it Darwin? I can't remember.
No,
it was something stupid.
Or was it Newton?
No, that wouldn't have been Victoria, would it?
No, I guess not.
Was it like Dickens or something? No.
Might have been. Well, it might have been. That sounds like the right sort of character for that sort of world. Yeah. I don't know. It could be cool. But a lot, the people I know that have played Origins are very up on that, saying like this was the breath of fresh air that the series needed. Admittedly, they were big Assassin's Creed fans before, so take that with a pinch of salt. But
they don't care about the story either.
No, not particularly. even they've fallen off that side of it. They care about the individual games stories, but the overarching stuff, as in all the Creed in general, not all that important. And maybe Ubisoft realised that now. Let's just make a good single game.
They should have finished that story off at least.
Yeah, well they did. They finished.
Not really.
They didn't really end. Well, they ended Desmond's story.
Kind of. They
didn't end the story. I believe they haven't actually done anything with it since, as far as I know. They do stuff, but they don't actually push that story anywhere. It never goes anywhere. There's just stuff. Just Abstergo. They're about. And that was Ubisoft. Sort of ended there. Not totally exciting. Nothing really new other than Trials, I guess. That was the only we didn't know about this game.
Even though you probably knew it was likely.
Yeah, it was likely. Of course it was likely. So yeah, an okay show, just relatively well executed other than Mike Guy. Just not all that interesting, I suppose. No, I would have loved them to have done a new Rayman game or something like that, for instance. Have they said that? Did they say last year or something that Rayman Legends was coming to Switch? Was that their thing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, with new music stages. That actually come out?
I don't know.
I don't remember seeing it. Yeah, it would have been nice to see them. anything in UbiArt framework again. And I think I said that last year. Anything in that vein would be nice to see. But no. All right, let's much to Zach's chagrin, quickly skim the PC gaming show. I thought they did a better job of it this year.
A little of it that I did watch, I think Day 9 looked a bit tired. He really did. I don't think he successfully pulled that presenting role off entirely, but not due to being bad presenting. I just think he was not fully into it for some reason.
Sean Plott.
Yep.
I don't know. I think he knew it was a long show.
Well, yeah, that too, I guess.
And he had to do pretty much
maintain the enthusiasm for the entire time.
Well, I also thought I think he peaked with his enthusiasm early because he was saying yeah to almost every other word at the start. He was like, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. That's also maybe not good though. Maybe someone told him to stop doing that.
Well, I know. I know I'm bad for that. In fairness, when we're on air, I should probably if we ever had it, I sort of agree to a little too much. I mean, Dan's the best at it. He just stays silent for half an hour. So
Works for me.
All right. So I've got the very first game on this list. I've immediately put a Zach warning next to it.
I know.
Because you're going to play the hell out of this, I'm sure.
Probably.
Satisfactory.
Uh-huh.
Do you see what they did there?
I see what they did there.
As far as I can tell, they've made Factorio in like first person.
Yeah, kind of. Except probably, I don't know. It's going to be hard to live up to Factorio's like level of precision, because that's why Factorio is 2D essentially, is because everything is when they've been working on the game and talking about it in blogs, they always talk about how they have to make sure everything is deterministic. It's like it has to be a perfectly deterministic simulation, because otherwise multiplayer would desync horribly and it would fuck everything up.
Right.
And that's why Factorio gets bogged down when things get too like even in my relatively large Factorio bases, it starts to slow down, because it's like here's a screen which has like 2,000 individual items on it that are all tracks their position on the belt as they're moving along, and you know the way the inserters grab stuff off belts as things go past means that like it all has to be positionally maintained and all that stuff. So yeah, that's why Factorio is probably the main reason for it to be 2D. But if they can pull off
simplifying that somehow, maybe to like just model it rather than.
Well, I mean, it depends on.
I mean, there was a weird animal on the belt as well. Is that a thing?
I think they said that like there's going to be wildlife is going to be slightly more important than Factorio's dumb bugs. So you might think that webpage suggests that you might be able to get a pet, and I think that will be it, or at least one of the options. Dog lizard.
Dog lizard, yes.
But yeah, I mean, if they manage to pull off some reasonably decent simulation, the thing that I saw when in that video is like they show stuff very briefly as it's cutting around. They show like the stuff on the belt going into smelters and stuff. But there's a moment where stuff is going into a smelter before the exit belt has been built, but it doesn't show what happens in that case, because it's just like the question is like the flow of materials. Is it actually like, are the physical items represented as physical items that travel along the belt and then go into a building and then pop out the other side, or is it more like just an idea of an item? Because that's one way that you could make the simulation more simplified but still look good, I guess. Would be to like not physically simulate every single item on a belt.
Yeah. So you see one thing go through that it's just like,
or it's more like a flow status. Like so the representation of items on the belt, which means that things are going along, but you don't necessarily need to know each individual item's position or something. Who knows?
Yeah,
there's ways to do it, but you know, maybe they won't need to. Maybe it will actually just work as good as Factorio does.
Yeah, maybe they'll have sorted that out.
There is a very brief cut moment in one of the cuts in that video where you can distinctly see two items on the belt clipping into each other, but I'm sure that's probably just because it's alpha.
Right.
But apart from that, it seems like, you know, they've got everything. They've got trains, got cars. It's pretty much all Factorio has for weird logistics. But the one thing that people are slightly wary about is the fact that supposedly the map is like a preset map.
Right.
It's just a map. It's just the map.
Right. Okay.
There may be opportunities for the like resources to be in slightly different locations, but it's going to probably be the exact same map every time, so that
may hurt its replay.
Yeah, may not give you as much opportunity to like have different problems to solve, the classic problem.
Steam Workshop.
Well, yeah, if they manage to get mods in it, that could be.
I mean, it's worth noting that this is Coffee Stain Games.
Yep.
The Goat Simulator people.
Yep.
They're no stranger to mods.
And I think Goat Simulator has a kind of different modding style, which is just throw fucking anything in it. Not very precisely designed mods that are meant to work with everything else in the game.
Sure.
It's more like break the game by throwing whatever shit you want in it.
I mean, if maps are the only thing they add as workshop support, then surely that solves that.
I don't know if maps are even something you would... Well, I don't think maps would be a thing that most people would be able to mod that easily. That's quite a lot of work.
Yeah, probably.
To make an entire world map.
Mm.
And if they can get it so you can mod in, different resources and different processing buildings and all that stuff, like Factorio has, that would probably be good.
Mm.
Still might be quite complicated, though. And the other thing that may limit the complexity of that game is that it appears that pretty much every building just has an in and an out, and it's also it's just like a hole where the belt goes in.
Mm.
Whereas like the whole thing about Factorio with the inserters picking stuff up off the belts is it's not, the belt just happens to go past the building, and then you have to manage that interface. Like if you need more faster inserters to pick up more stuff quicker or whatever.
Yeah, it sounds like there might
different belts.
It sounds like there might be some simplifications or
We'll see what happens with that.
Satisfactory.
I feel like they could have intercapped or put a dash in to make the pun a bit more obvious.
I don't know, I quite like it. It's just the word. Because it probably explains your review of the game. Like, just straight out. It's like, it's satisfactory. Neocab. Oh, also, look forward to Zach playing hundreds of hours of that, probably. Week in, week out. Neocab, yes. Looked like an adventure game, I guess, just with slightly unusual trappings. That you're, sat in a cab, doing jobs. Doing jobs. Whilst basically trying to pay your way just long enough to find what's happened to your sister. And the trailer seems to suggest that obviously that trouble then ends up on you.
As usual.
Because of relations, I suppose. Mirror's Edge all over again in a cab. Yeah, not a lot to say there. It is what it is. The biggest PUBG rip I've seen for a while. Just because, like, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, Maverick's Proving Grounds. Okay, admittedly, Mavericks isn't a name of a guy this time. It's just Mavericks, as in plural, : Proving Grounds. It was just like the similarities there, right? Although they did try to, like, at least during the show, they were quite obviously going like, "Oh, this is the first of our Battle Royale games we're showing tonight. What makes your game different from all the others?" And this guy was trying to say, "Well, we've got 1,000 players." And I'm like, "Sorry, what? How on earth does that work?" And also some MMO trappings, by the sound of it. Like there's some hub world where everyone hangs out as well, like before you walk into a game or something like that. Who knows? PUBG. It's PUBG. I've forgotten absolutely everything about the Forgotten City, conveniently.
Good.
I can't remember anything about that game. Sorry, that game. You might have been good. Nope, I got nothing. Star Control Origins? Getting a bit of a Space Pirates and Zombies vibe?
Well, not exactly. It looks more like Spore again. Second time we brought up something comparison to Spore recently.
What, the Spore space stuff?
Yeah.
Or at least that was the most deep part of Spore.
Yeah. Like, supposedly it's meant to be quite a lot like the old Star Control games, in that, like, as in, maybe it's just like the same game functionally, but with better graphics. So, like, not necessarily improvement, just a nicer modern look of it. Possibly. Although apparently there's some copyright, like, drama going on with Star Control, where, like, the people making this game, it's like they bought the rights. When Atari was selling the rights to Star Control, and they bought it, but what they were selling was the rights to the name Star Control, not the actual Star Control universe. so that it might not be able to have like the same alien races and all that stuff from Star Control, which is a bit weird. Bit of a weird situation to be in. But at least they got the name, I guess.
Yeah. I got a bit confused at first because they said it was by like it's Star Doc making Star Control, and it's like, oh, that's a little odd. I had to look up what Forgotten City was. Is that weird adventure game where everyone turned to gold, or something? It's like a first-person story-driven thing. Don't turn it to gold. Anyway, and we got a little thing from Crytek talking about Hunt Showdown, just getting some updates. Pretty sure that game's still early access though, right? So they're like, hey, we're adding stuff to our early access game. Great. Then we had some sort of mech combat game called Archangel Hellfire that I'm not sure looked all that great. They had showed like a mech exploding, and it had one of those classic, like, I don't know, like somewhat amateurish things where like the mech clearly disappeared just before the explosion happened. Do you know what I mean? Sort of that sort of awkward, like all the models popped out and now the explosion's happening. Just, I don't know, something about it, like kind of like the idea, just didn't look all that great. Then we got the Sinking City, which looked like, I don't know, this didn't look great either. It's like it's a otherworldly Lovecraftian mystery featuring a Sherlock Holmes-like character with some poopy shooting. The only way to describe it, some poopy shooting and some every other character you seem to meet looks ill in some way, or like a monster or weird. Just, don't know. Then Warframe showed up to talk about a new Warframe. Woo. Then we got a bit of a Sega montage saying, hey guys, don't forget Sega likes the PC too. Showed us some of the games they'd already put out. And it's like, okay, we don't care about those. But confirming that Shenmue 1 and 2 HD are coming to PC, which I think we already knew. Shining Resonance, which I think I've seen as a Switch game. A Switch RPG or something like that. That's getting a PC release. But most importantly, the Yakuza games are coming to PC. They're finally getting ported. So, Yakuza Kiwami and Yakuza 0 are definitely coming to PC. They later announced outside that there's going to be a Yakuza Kiwami 2 as well, which is a new game. They haven't done that yet. But I don't know, those Yakuza games, or Yakuza, however you want to say it, they hold some draw with me. I might want to play one. Yakuza 0 is apparently a good place to jump in. Or Yakuza Kiwami, for that fact. Both of them are pretty good places to jump in.
Yeah, sure.
And Valkyria Chronicles 4 got a very brief bit of footage. Not enough to really make any opinions on. Other than it looks like Valkyria Chronicles. But still not sure quite how it plays yet. Then we got some stuff about Killing Floor 2. Don't care. Then we got a ridiculous trailer for a open world RPG where you are a shark, and when your main aim is to eat everyone. Just eat people. Cause mayhem. With a skill tree and everything, and it's called Maneater. I bet that's a streamer's delight. Quick little video of something called Bravery Network Online that I got some Darkest Dungeon style vibes from. Like the way it looked like a sort of like future breakdance combat thing. Two crews looked like they were fighting each other, but like the way the camera moved and the way the things were drawn looked a little bit like Darkest Dungeon. That sort of hand drawn, like not many frames of animation kind of look. It's all in the camera work. Do you care?
No.
Morning Star, which at first looked like some kind of farming simulator, but then the world zoned out and there was just a PC there, and the turnip turned into a floppy disk called Turn Up instead, and he puts that in a computer and then it goes booting, and yeah, that was it. That was all we saw. No idea what that is. Morning Star.
So he didn't get turned up?
No, the turnip didn't get turned up. Turn up for what?
And when you swing the Morning Star, it doesn't make their heads fly off and go. give.
And I'm pretty sure that the give part wasn't related to the Morning Star in Killer 90, but that was a weapon you had. I think if you was it. Oh no, it might have been. It was either the Morning Star or the Vampire Axe, where if you swung it in Killer 90, like just random bits of blood would just start raining from the sky. Quake mobs. A black, red, and white pixel horror shooter thing. I guess the way to describe it, called Overwhelm. Shadow Drop came out immediately. Very moody.
I definitely don't think you can have Shadow Drops at a PC conference where it's just like these are just random people publishing their games.
I guess. For some reason, that's been corrected to Overwhelm on my phone. Jurassic World Evolution got a little bit. Would you call this a shadow drop? Because it was like
pretty much already out by the time he freaked out.
Yeah. Well, it might have been a couple of days after the show, actually, thinking about it. But like, yeah, that's out now. Do you care? It's Frontier. You know, the Planet Coaster guys.
Well, I don't care that much about Jurassic Park. That doesn't help.
Jurassic World.
Definitely don't care about that.
No, but not even the park building aspect, or the management of it, or the disaster management.
Yeah, I feel like I need to actually see some more of it, because I'd only ever seen preview stuff, and it's just like, that's not really showing you what the game's like. It's just like, here's something that's already built, let's just fly around and look at it.
Yeah. And I think that's all I've really seen of it, in fairness. It's I mean, it's a pretty good looking game. I'll give it that. You know, Planet Coaster was a pretty good looking game.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum time. So Insomniac Games have been working on something with Oculus that kind of looked interesting. VR only, obviously. But Stormland seems to be like a... Okay, it's hard not to call it a survival game, because it looks a little bit like a survival game, but you're effectively a robot that's supposed to guard and maintain this planet, this ecosystem. And then some bad robots enter the neighbor and start hurting you and your friends, and you've got to obviously presumably do something and solve the mystery. But you know, it's all designed for VR, like with the proper move controllers and the proper controllers and stuff like that. And so you can like literally rip your own arm off and replace it with something else if you want, because you're a robot. But you know, it looked like a sort of no compromise first person shooter in spots. Like, it didn't look like they were doing any like teleport tricks, or so then how does the movement really work and things like that. They were it's a bit of a discussion on. It's like, yeah, we're putting a lot of effort into making this movement work, and like in a way that will let you do what you want to do, basically. Superman style flying seemed to be their thing. Stick your arms out in front and you'll fly. Another, what I assume is an adventure game, sort of a crime drama thing about another cabbie, by the sounds of it, called Night Call. Then there was that Sable game I mentioned earlier. A bit more about talking about how they did their cool visual style. Seriously, go look at it. Star Citizen had a thing.
Seriously?
I mean, the trailer looks actually pretty good.
Everything
was a
looks
trailer.
good.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a trailer. It's like hard to glean anything from it. What's the game? Are any of those modules connected yet? Did that happen at some point?
No, I don't think so.
That was all they did. They just sort of showed this trailer, rocked up, went home, didn't actually say anything. Genesis Alpha 1? You remember anything about that? I can't remember. It's such a generic name. I've got nothing in my brain about it. Nope. Oh, no, that was the one about... yeah, I do remember now. You're on a spaceship or something, and you're given clearance to muck around with DNA to build a more efficient crew. Like, just make alien people. Like, of your own creation. But then, of course, things go bad, because they do. So there's combat as well. Yeah, who really knows how much freedom there is in that? New Don't Starve game.
Well, I don't know about new.
Was it an expansion, or
Might be an expansion.
Don't Starve Hamlet? Are you done with Don't Starve? Does this look anything? It look more like town based, obviously. But...
Well, depends how different it actually is. I mean, if it is a different game. But then again, I think if I was going to play another similar thing, I'd probably move on to Oxygen Not Included instead. That seems to be like Don't Starve in Space, except for more like Warfare.
Okay, interesting. Then we got some more of that Just Cause 4 stuff we already talked about. A Walking Dead game that looked kind of bad. It was like an FPS, I think, or it looked like they were trying to get some of the feels from like the Left 4 Dead sort of look, like it would be a 4-player co-op thing, maybe. I mean, the characters they lined up then looked a lot like the cast of the first Left 4 Dead game. Black guy, girl, Bill, that sort of thing. The other guy. Can't remember who the other guy was.
Lewis.
Oh yeah, that's it.
No, mate, that's
Biker.
That's two.
The black guy.
Like what?
Wasn't it? Who was in Left 4 Dead?
In the first one, you had like Zoe, businessman.
No, the third guy was... I don't remember.
Oh yeah, he was the sort of more jackety. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I'm thinking of that guy from Dead Rising.
Biker. There's the biker dude, wasn't it?
Maybe. Oh yes, yeah. I've got it now. He had the beard, and yes, you're dead right.
And he hates everything.
Yes. I remember now. My brain's kicked in. 2 Point Hospital looks cool.
Kind of, still.
It's Theme Hospital now.
I'm still not on board with their art style, really.
I mean, it looks like Theme Hospital, just in 3D.
It looks too clunky. Like they don't think they've emulated the animation style well.
There wasn't really much animation, and
Well,
everything basically.
That might be the problem, though. Because like the 2-point animations just look kind of far too exaggerated for those character models. Like they look real floppy. Like when they're walking, it's like.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I thought it looks good. I like the fact that it's not rats; it's monobrows. Monobrows escape from monobrow patients and become a pest.
Yeah, but I think they and what they showed of you have to go around and pick things up to find them. I think that's a bit much.
Maybe, yeah.
Unless it is just like a one-off thing, because if that's a continuous problem over a long period of time, that's just going to be a real tedious thing to deal with.
They go lift up everything in your hospital to clean it.
Yeah.
Unless maybe there are some perks for your janitors later on, where that becomes less of a thing, or maybe it's just that specific mission.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, you've got a monobrow problem. I thought it was funny anyway. If the game is inventive like that all the way through, then good on them.
But like we said, it's not necessarily a problem of recreating the humor; it's a problem of mechanics.
It's probably equally both. That game needs the humor to survive.
Well, it needs the humor, but I don't think that's necessarily as much of a problem as the mechanics.
Maybe. Or you reckon they're just going to get the humor bit right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that maybe not. They could still do humor at like 70% and still succeed well enough on the humor aspect, but the mechanics aspect they kind of have to.
It's 70% funny. Does that basically mean it's not funny? Hasn't quite reached the
pretty
funny.
much quite a lot of Team Hostel is just not funny, really. But that's kind of also why it's funny in some cases.
What, the fact that they actually have like Slackjaw and then of course proper broken bones?
Yeah, it's just like the comedy of the broken bones is not necessarily the disease. Not even the treatment's that interesting, but
No, you go into a weird vat or like just get in a cabinet for a bit.
Yeah.
Realm Royale was another battle royale game. I'm going to say it now that like it's pitched as being a sort of like fantasy battle royale game. It's not fantasy. You've got guns and like there's some magic powers, I suppose, but you've got guns. Yeah, I'm calling it. But there is some sort of chicken mechanic in it that they talked about but didn't explain, and they just said, "Yeah, if you don't know what that is, go look at it." And I haven't. But there's chickens. I think when you die, you become a chicken for a bit, and you can run around and then maybe do something. I don't know. Then there was Ooblets. I do not know what this game is. I remember it. I do not know what you do in it. You seem to be kids with like. It reminds me of the art style from like the from Katamari Damacy a little bit. Like everyone's a little bit blocky and sort of has sort of exaggerated animations and very laid back and leaning back, literally. Don't know. And then there's Anno 1880. None of us care about that, right?
Wow. Maybe if they ever make that game mechanically more functional, I guess. It's like those games are supposedly not bad, but they're like kind of, a simplified idea of a city builder. Not really a city builder exactly. It's more like resource management that includes a city building aspect.
Mm.
So if they could pull off something a bit more, mechanically complex and like intertwined that actually required more strategy, possibly.
We need to come out and say it is about building mega cities eventually.
Well, I mean, that's pretty much what all of these games have always been about in the end. To build a huge ass city, but whether that matters is the kind of important bit.
Then we got another battle royale game, but not quite as you'd expect it. Rapture Rejects is apparently driven by the cyanide and happiness people, or at least related to in some way, and they've made a sort of top-down isometric run gun battle royale game, which clearly has the art style, but it might be okay. Simple battle royale game probably could be cheap. Are they really going to get enough players to play a game like that? That's probable battle royale, I suppose. Question mark. And finally, we got to see some Hitman 2. Kill people with frying pans in Miami.
That's far too much of a normal weapon. Where's the soup cans? Where's the fire extinguishers?
They've talked up a pretty good game. Like, it is just like it's more Hitman, but the scope of what they're doing in each episode in each area is supposedly quite a lot bigger. Like, the areas will be bigger, the possibilities will be greater. The amount of stuff they can then do with that environment as extra stuff or other stuff is then bigger. The elusive target stuff can be more intricate and more varied. Seems like a sensible route for them. Bigger environments, more of what makes Hitman great, I suppose. November 13th this year. Cranking it out.
Good.
I guess, kind of.
Probably was just like season 2's content.
Yeah,
I guess.
It probably is basically the exact same game. Underneath, at least.
Yeah. I know we're not all that interested in most of that stuff there, but it's like, so it's hard to us to really comment on a lot of it. But I think it's nice that the PC gaming show exists so that like the smaller games can get a bit of time. It's not just the AAA show.
Except who actually watched?
Not many. I do. Just in case there's anything interesting there. Oh, look, boy. Let's do Sony. This was an odd show.
Well, they decided to do something fancy, but it made it like it was one of those things where it's like, let's do something fancy for the people who are there, but it makes the show incredibly bad for people who are watching it anywhere else.
Well, apparently it was quite awkward for the people who were there.
People who were there.
Yeah, because they had to move everybody to a proper set. And
I thought it was kind of cool, the concept. It would have been annoying if you're a games journalist trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
I mean, my first notes here are this is a bit of a weird location, and the audio quality is really bad in here.
And it seemed like half the crowd was standing, which makes sense when you realise what was going to happen later on.
And the camera was wobbly, which seemed like it felt very amateur hour going into this. But then we got that Last of Us Part 2 trailer.
And that explains where they were, because it was like they recreated the thing from the game in the real world.
Yeah.
Which was cool.
I feel like they probably could have just done a less complicated version of that inside a theatre.
Yeah, perhaps if they just put strung up some lights in the theatre and just turned them on during the...
Or just had some kind of projection screen onto the walls to make it look like it was a smaller room, even though it was actually a theatre or something.
But first, how about you have that 5-minute banjo solo?
Yeah, you got to do the banjo solo.
That was cool.
I mean, it was cool, but it's not what I'm here to see.
I mean, it was probably equally as bad as the Just Dance one, except for at least with Just Dance you knew from the start what it was. Whereas that was the banjo dude, it was like, you're not entirely certain what this is.
Well, he immediately starts playing the theme from the game, so...
Well, sure. I mean, but when you're seeing the weird set and the banjo dude comes out, you're like, what are you doing, so? Oh, right.
It's not like watching the God of War stuff with a live orchestra.
No. It's
not nearly as cool as that.
And even, I guess they did it later on again, but kind of for more as a transition, where they had another dude playing another instrument for far too long.
That was cooler, though. I preferred that, but yeah. I don't know. What do we think about Last of Us 2? Obviously digging into the non-zombie part in this particular look at it. It's about human factions, which are clearly all evil.
I thought it was a great trailer. The combination, the gameplay, really, and the story stuff.
It's really interesting. I mean, will it play out in the way that?
Yeah, the main question is
lift from the game is is that scene does it do that hard cut for some reason to the combat scenario?
Oh, probably not. They could do. I suppose
it's really interesting if that's what they go. If they're going to try some more film-like narrative tricks like that, rather than the sort of straight linear progression, then that's really interesting to me. I want to see them try.
If anyone's going to do it,
yeah.
But going to the gameplay section, it's sort the animation fluidity stuff. It looks even with Naughty Dog or whatever, who've been doing this stuff for years better than anyone else really. It still looked unbelievably good, I think.
I know. It's some of it's incredible. Just that last combat sequence at the end in the building.
Yeah.
Right, and the bit where she squeezes herself through the cover.
Yeah.
And just how it transitioned into that, and it's just amazing.
All the little things. It's can this really be real, or to what extent is this? I don't know.
Yeah.
A little bit bullshit, but then they can't do that these days. And if anyone can do what they showed as actual gameplay, it's Naughty Dog, right? So yes,
you can't do that these days. EA Battlefield 5.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but that's not claiming. That doesn't look like gameplay, does it? Does it?
They put a HUD on it.
They put a HUD. No, I mean, we all know it's not, but they put a HUD on it. Yeah.
But this looks enough like gameplay, right? I mean, it is gameplay.
This is the opposite problem, where if they put a HUD on it, it might have been more believable. But
it had the HUD elements, right?
Exactly.
It did have it.
It had the occasional one
when they crafted. And when she took damage,
when she picks up stuff, it has little icons and stuff.
But I feel like there should be
And even the stealth indicator, like from Metal Gear.
Sure. That's something that only appears for a moment.
Which is good. I like the Metal Gear stealth indicator. I think that works
like,
well.
They've made themselves a problem by making a game that doesn't have much HUD most of the time.
But that's good.
It's good for the game, but it's hard to prove that it is the game when you're showing it in a video.
That's true.
Yeah, in fairness, the first game did this as well. Because you remember they showed the first few showings of it. They didn't have much HUD there as well. And then, in fact, they changed it all completely for when the actual game came out. I think it looked like. Actually, I think that stealth mechanic might have been in the original Last of Us as well. Thinking about it, sort of, so and that would have predated Metal Gear, right? But
other games have done similar stealth indicators before.
Yeah, probably. But I like that. The nice thing where there's an audio warning as well is nice. That sort of like you're being seen.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. I thought it played out real well. Of course, it went bad as well. It couldn't stay stealthy for long, and
and it ran into the exact same problem with Tomb Raider of like any amount of foliage is hella stealth.
Yeah,
you could be lying down in like an inch of grass and be completely invisible.
That's a gameplay thing, though.
I know.
That's just what they need.
At least it was grass and not like a bush for some of it.
It was like grass, and the people were like above her.
Yeah.
You just see them instantly.
yeah. Well, the thing is, like they were like 2 feet behind her as well, and she just dives into some grass, and they're like, she's gone in the grass.
Well, at least it was slightly dark in that case.
Yeah,
slightly. The Tomb Raider was somewhat dark. But
Tomb Raider was very dark in places.
This was a bit unfortunate for the Tomb Raider people that they had a very similar sequence that would just look about 50 million times better.
Yeah. It does make Tomb Raider suffer somewhat.
But I'm still slightly skeptical that that's like the game will fully turn out like that. But I mean, if it gets close, then it's pretty hype for that. That looks awesome. I thought it was a really effective trailer, like with the story stuff as well, and their kind of performance capture stuff that they do has continued to develop. I mean, that was some of the best stuff.
The classic problem for a mocap or any kind of animation in games or any like animated media is a proper kiss, right?
Right, yeah.
That's what they say. That's one of the hardest things to do.
And they just went for it.
Yeah, and it looked great. In fairness,
really good.
Good. Looking at it from a fidelity point of view, it looked realistic. Gnome immediately was like, "Oh god, those kissing noises though." Like just like the mix of it was just really loud. Just like, like just like a little much.
It was fine. It worked.
I mean,
sweaty kiss.
I mean, what is the what is it obviously just asks all kinds of questions like what is the actual story now? Are we playing as Ellie most of the time? Like, or is that the twist this time that we've like in the first game, spoiler alert, you're playing as Joel for like the entire time, aren't you, apart from that one sequence.
Yeah.
Extended sequence, admittedly, but you're doing that. And it's like maybe this is the other way round this time.
I expect so.
Sounds like Joel is like running the camp or something.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And he's a bit of a hard ass about it, but the camp's in a good place now, it seems. But I suspect the other girl she's going to have dodgy motives, I reckon.
Do you think?
Yeah. I've got my suspicions.
Yeah, and no release date, right? Was there?
I don't think so, no.
I don't think that's...
I mean,
it's not this year, is it?
It's not this year, no, definitely not. I think we'll see it next year, but no guarantees. They, Naughty Dog have had a tendency to slip quite a bit,
and that's fine, really, considering what they put out.
Let it cook.
Okay, cool. Pretty excited about that.
So then they moved everyone out of that little venue. While they were doing this, they had an intermission show, which was so painful. They showed some not really good newsy bits. It's like, so here's the point where Call of Duty shows up. And it's like, we haven't seen that yet. Like, Sony have got the scoop on this again. Oh no! Wait, all they're showing us is a trailer for maps that are going to be exclusive if you pre-order.
Well, they said for some reason that these maps are going to be backported into free as well. Like, it's not just for the new game; it's also for the old game.
What, in Blops 3?
Yeah.
Weird. Okay. Or Infinite, or World War II. I would make my sister put bringing Nuketown to World War II. Or would it?
But yeah, I mean, that was all they had to say about
yeah,
so
weirdly.
I guess maybe everyone realised that this was like not turning out to be a thing that they could show.
But yeah, you might be right,
this is the Battle Royale game, and it's just like everyone's real bored of those.
Because and also COD shows the campaign stuff at E3.
Yeah,
and there's no campaign this year, so they had nothing to show. Yeah, weird. Just slightly odd. They also talked about some of the stuff that they announced ahead of time, which we glossed over earlier.
Well, I don't think they really talked about something.
No, they were just like
they just showed the like half of each of the trailers.
Yeah. That Tetris effect, though. What happens if you take Rez and combine it with Tetris?
Well, what happens if you take Tetris and add a tiny bit of Rez in the background? Is the more likely answer to this game.
And VR.
And VR. Unnecessarily, because you're playing Tetris.
And I think I heard that Mizuguchi might actually be involved.
Yeah.
Like, so it is Rez. Rez's Tris. Twin Mirror was another one of the things I've noted as being mildly interesting. Unfortunately, I can't remember anything about it.
I don't think they really showed anything about it.
No.
It just looked a bit like Inception, maybe? It had that kind of like weird world. I don't remember that much about it either. I just got a feel of like, this looks kind of like a Inception-esque thing. I think, maybe. I don't remember.
Sure, there'll be more to come with that. And then they had, I got good feels about Ghost Giant though, another VR game. It looks kind of cool, like you're a benevolent ghost, like trying to help a town,
running the typical VR thing, where it's like you're an invisible thing that can interact with the world, and hopefully that gives you some story hooks.
It seemed like this little mouse creature though sort of realised you were there or something, and
like completely ripping off that other game where you're an invisible ghost and there's a mouse creature that you talk to.
What, Moss? But yeah. Moss was more of a platformer, wasn't it? Like,
well, I mean, arguably, it's not like you're doing the platforming.
Okay. I don't know. It looked kind of neat. Then we got a little brief bit about the Destiny 2 expansions coming. Someone shot a ghost.
Well, somebody shot that dude.
Well, and that dude, yeah. Shot some people. Looked like aliens led by a human or something like that. Maybe some cross-faction stuff going on. Don't care, Destiny. Alright, then we get to the meat of it. We finally cut back.
Yes.
To a bigger room.
To the real theatre.
And we get I thought kind of, again, a bit like the Banjo, kind of cool performance on one of those, I don't even know what you call it,
cool,
but the sort of
long.
Japanese pipe things. And yeah, it might have been a bit long, but I'm digging it.
I mean, I like this one. I would say was more excusable because it's clearly like this was while they were still getting people into the theatre, and maybe they cut back to it too soon or whatever.
Oh, you reckon?
I'll let them have an extra long one on that one.
Oh, I see. You reckon people were still getting settled while they were doing that?
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's quite a good time filler.
I mean, I assume that they had something going on whilst that was happening. Maybe like a even longer performance than we saw was going on at the same time. Because you want something vaguely, some noise happening in that theatre while people are coming in.
Noise.
Background music.
Yeah, and that was in aid of leading up to Ghost of Tsushima this time, which looks amazing.
Apparently, this is just the year of Japanese samurai.
Yeah, maybe.
Because we've had like 3 different games that have had pretty much this exact same.
Sekiro, Tsushima, yeah. Neo 2 later on. Yeah, this blew me away. This was my moment of the show, I think. Like, just along with Halo, like just like, wow, okay, this game looks incredible. It's samurai, and Mongols. What's not to love? its deception and man, what an amazing looking game as well.
It looks pretty killer.
How good was that combat sequence?
I love that moment where he just kills that guy in one hit immediately. That was awesome.
Yeah. Proper samurai.
And then the kind of fight in the leaves was a bit Metal Gear, wasn't it?
Oh man,
still, it was cool.
And everything's catching fire as it goes on, and it's just what an incredible sequence.
So who's making this thing?
I don't know. It's one of Sony's worldwide studios, I think, but
it's the second instance of a game where I thought the horse looked weird. But maybe those horses did look weird, because the other instance was the Assassin's Creed horse.
I thought the Assassin's Creed horse had some problems actually, because I think I saw its feet clip through the floor a few times, and
I thought it looked weird, and then this one looked just as weird, and I'm like, maybe that's what horses look like from that angle. Maybe I've just never seen a horse moving from behind at that angle to actually see what it looks like.
It's Sucker Punch behind Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, really? Mm.
So the Infamous team.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
And they haven't really done anything else other than Infamous since the Sly Cooper games. So I guess it's good of them to be doing something else. But yeah, man, I loved this sequence. Gnome was like, "Oh god, they're on horses again. This is going to be like another Red Dead, isn't it?" Like, she immediately was like,
"Oh yes, apart from in Japan."
Yeah, she was immediately just like, "Oh, I'm going to be so bored."
Can't wait for Red Dead. Oh my god, horses! Yes, I mean it's quite hard to do horses. I think Red Dead is one of the few games to have got it really right. But I mean, they better, right?
I mean, it's kind of a key part of the game, yeah.
What's the second best horses in gaming then?
Epona.
Yeah, but it was good at the time. But
what about the Breath of the Wild horses? Are they?
Yeah, they're all right.
They're pretty good.
Okay,
but they're because I suppose because of the speed up mechanic, some sort of gamey equivalent, I guess. I haven't played The Witcher, but I would imagine that horse must be pretty sweet.
Right. You'd think so, wouldn't you? Yeah, You'd hope so, wouldn't you? Because that's quite important. That's probably it. I just haven't played it.
Anyway, Ghost of Tsushima. I'm so hyped now. I knew it existed and I knew people were excited about it. Now I know why. This yeah, really good showing. It's just as well because Sony needed it at this point. I was losing faith.
What after
just after the intermission and how bad this show was going, it's just like, okay, at least you landed another big hitter to kick us back off. Don't get me wrong, yeah, Last of Us. I'm not saying Last of Us Part 2 was bad.
I thought they said up front that okay, we're going to do 4 big hitters, and that's basically the show.
something like that. Yeah, right. They were basically like, we're not showing too much new this year. We're just getting on with it.
So yeah, samurai game. What's it called again?
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima. Yeah,
and it's one of those TS Tsushimas.
Tsushima. Cool. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, amazing. And then we got Remedy's new game, which for a long time watching this trailer, I was sat there going, "Oh no, they aren't, are they? This is a Quantum Break sequel."
Yeah,
it looks like Quantum Break.
Oh boy, does it! Yeah, the effects are so similar. But it's not called Quantum Break; it's called Control. But that doesn't mean it's not a Quantum Break sequel, right?
No.
But maybe they would call it Quantum Control or something, or Control Break. I don't know, just to keep it a little bit more in keeping. But yeah, that visual style and some of those. It wasn't quite so fractured, I suppose, as Quantum Break did. The sort of triangular, flickery stuff that game did. But I don't know, Remedy could be cool.
You forgot about the weird, pointless dreams transitions.
Yeah, I did.
For some reason, they were using that to make these tiny little 5-second transition scenes.
Yeah, and yet
they've never actually talked about it again.
There was absolutely no mention of dreams this year, other than those. Like Dream still isn't out, still isn't a thing. And I mean, neither are some of the other stuff they've talked about in previous shows, like the graffiti game or whatever, where the graffiti comes to life, and that wasn't no mention of that either. Like I've forgotten what that's called, but
what else there wasn't really any mention of?
Mm-hmm.
They didn't. It was shown in one of them in a montage somewhere, I think, but they didn't actually go back into Days Gone.
No, I mean they talked. There was some brief stuff before the show on Days Gone. That was one of the things I skipped over intentionally because they didn't really show anything of interest. Just that it's there.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't want to. I don't know.
They didn't want to go back to last year and bore everyone with zombies again.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'd lost. It felt like they'd lost faith in it a little bit. I'd never had faith in it, in fairness, or maybe it was just like, we've got Last of Us showing.
No more zombies. Just no zombies.
We can't put that next to Days Gone.
There won't be any zombies in that one.
Yeah. Probably thought ahead of time, just in case they put zombies in that. And then finally, the thing like a lot of Resident Evil fans have been waiting for a long time, Resident Evil 2 remake had been
kind of one of the things they've been waiting for.
Well,
I was like a new game.
But were we really expecting a full, proper remake?
No, they've gone way further with this than anyone was expecting. Like, if you remember what they did for Resident Evil 1's remake, they basically took the game and polygonized the whole thing, but it still looked and played like the original. This is a full-on, reimagining of what that game is. Like, it probably has the same sort of, like, the same areas, the same layout, the same inventory, I bet, but it looks like it's being presented very differently. Like, much more graphically, literally. Fully polygonized, fully, like, really good looking. Again, like they've done a pretty damn good job in recreating it all and recreating the atmosphere. For people that are into RE, this seems like it would be great, but we don't know really how. We know some of how it plays. Like it seems like it's taking the Resident Evil 4 gameplay style. Is what I've heard. So it's like, hey, people like Resident Evil 4. Imagine if you played Resident Evil 2 like that, and everyone's like, "Way!"
Sounds good. Sure. I mean, Resident Evil 4 had like outdoor areas with a bit more space. Resident Evil 2 is a bit more confined, being in Raccoon City, but sure.
I never got very far in Resident Evil 2. I played it back in the day, but I found it far too hard. To the point where I had to keep restarting it from the beginning because of the way that game's save structure worked. And it's like I've gotten to a certain point and I'm just not geared up to carry on. I need to play the stuff leading up to this point better. And I was no good at it. I was no good at all. So I have no love for it, but it's a big deal. And it's a big deal to a lot of people, and they seem to be doing right by it. Good on you. January 25th next year. So not quite a February game, but very close. Then the Rick and Morty guys are making a game. Not about Rick and Morty, though.
Although that guy can apparently only do 2 voices, so...
Yeah. He has a character as well. It's the same. It's the same. It's just he's called Trover. And there's eyes in his eyes. I don't know what to make of it. You can't really see what that game really was from that trailer. It looks like a platformer of some kind. Hey, I'm Buff Guy. But this isn't about me. You want some more Kingdom Hearts?
Well, you want more of the same Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah. I'm done with Kingdom Hearts at this point.
It was kind of weird that it showed up,
everywhere.
Yeah, not just at Sony.
Yeah.
Not just at Sony and Square Enix, even.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that it being at Microsoft meant something, right? Because Kingdom Hearts has never been on a Microsoft platform before.
Yeah.
It being there, is intentional. It's like, hey, we're getting this now. I suppose in the same way that they got Final Fantasy 15 was kind of a moment.
Yeah.
This is the similar sort of thing. Then we got another bonkers Death Stranding trailer. Not as bonkers as previous ones.
This is more like here's some of the actual game, kind of. Assuming that this is how you play it.
As far as we know, you're walking.
Yeah. Delivery simulator.
And maybe doing some stealth of some kind. I mean, it looks rad. Like just purely look and style, and the crazy lady with the spiky armor that's not spiky all the time, and she can turn the spikes on. That was cool. Crazy lady. I mean, it's a Kojima game. I think I'm going to want to play this regardless. No Del Toro mentioned this year. Had to explain to Gnome who Norman Reedus is. It's that Walking Dead guy we don't watch in anything.
Okay, so what was your thoughts on it then?
I mean, it's just like I still don't know what to make of it. Right? What's the deal with the bait? What's the deal?
Yeah, they're not going to explain anything.
Likely.
Yeah, that did seem like.
Seems like it's like I'm clearly in a situation where I'm fucked. So if I turn on my time travel baby, it'll go walk me back somehow. Because the woman over the way is like, oh, you can't do that in the city because you'll fuck up everything. You'll be fine, but everything in the vicinity will get fucked up.
Yeah,
because of time travel
or something. Yeah. Like, because you'll come back to the city when it's not screwed or something, and when it's not overrun by whatever the creatures are, or something like that, and that his presence of like warping back in the middle of the city will cause some damage. Yeah, who knows? But it's maybe baby travel.
Yeah,
it's just weird, but I'm in. I think. Like what's the robot thing for? Because he specifically turns it on when he goes, "I've got an idea."
Yeah, it does. It initially looks like it might be some kind of scanner, but it doesn't seem to be on all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it changes based on certain things. Like sometimes it's got like a little light cone in front of it for some reason, and its pulsing decreases, and it's What's that? What's it all about? Just what's going on, man? What's going on? Why are the other things invisible and made of hands? And because there's that bit where the hands are coming, but he gets, they spend some time looking at his skin real closely, so you can see hand imprints appearing on him. But the hands walk past, and it's like, man, it's so stylish. We don't even really know. They haven't gone back to what the whole deal is with the tentacle monsters we saw in the Mads Mikkelsen trailers. Do you remember, the second time we ever saw that game?
Oh, yeah.
Probably going to be some late game stuff, probably, when you start getting more into what's actually going on.
Well, Guillermo del Toro is running away with a baby. Man. Madness. But the kind of madness I want to see more of.
I mean, we still don't know anything. It's not going to be about carrying a giant backpack of clones across various landscapes, is it?
It might be.
As much as it looks like that, yeah.
It might just be a stealth delivery game.
I mean, what's all this connected by strands stuff he was originally talking about? Like the new game experience that he was talking about. Is any of that real?
It's the time travel.
I mean, it's good how it started with a baby's butt. That's very important.
Yeah.
He's still obsessed with butts.
The first thing Gnome said, actually, when she saw that was like, where was that camera? And it's like, it's in Norman Reedus somewhere.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, are we seeing the baby, in the canister? At that point?
It doesn't seem like it, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Maybe there's two babies. Maybe you need one inside you and one in the canister for this system to work.
Double baby action. That's so odd. Anyway, Team Ninja are making something other than Dead or Alive They are revisiting Neo, which went down pretty well last year, I think, and they're making Neo 2, which seems a bit quick.
They need to finish this now that they can walk my wax.
No, Team Ninja haven't been.
Oh no, yeah, the other one.
Ninja Theory got bought by.
Confusing names.
Yeah, Team Ninja are the sexy ninjas.
Yeah.
But Neo was their Japanese take on Dark Souls, effectively, but mission based as opposed to full on open world based, and people seem to dig it. So they're making more of it. Yay! All right, Dan, take us through Spider-Man.
Take you through it.
Yeah.
I mean,
you were most hyped for this out of us.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it looks good. They did a whole rogues gallery type thing where he's immediately struggling against a whole bunch of them rather than one at a time, which I thought was cool. Electro and Vulture you saw there, Rhino, right? Various.
So are these versions of the designs more like their comic book equivalents? Because Electro obviously was not the Electro we saw in Amazing Spider-Man, for instance, or
no,
or Vulture isn't how we had Vulture recently, although relatively similar, I suppose. But
no, yeah, I guess they're more like the comic. Although I don't really know what the current comic book designs are of those characters because there's like the mainstream universe, isn't there? And then there's the Ultimates or whatever, and then there's which universe has Miles Morales in it? The black, basically. Is he black or Hispanic Spider-Man?
Something like that. Yeah, I think Peter.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's still Peter Parker. Anyway, this is Peter Parker. But I think it's a bit like the Batman games, right? In the sense that they have their own take on all of the characters. I think.
Sure, and they're wedging as many in as they can, as they do.
Well, I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, in the original Batman Arkham Asylum, there weren't that many. But I think Spider-Man could do with a few. But it looked like, okay, well, all of these guys aren't the real, nemesis, are they? They're his kind of rogues gallery, but it's obviously being controlled.
Superman that's running the show?
Well, no,
I don't know, because
whoever was behind the camera at the last shot.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And there was sound effects, and I was like, sounds maybe like we might be looking at Dr. Octopus here.
It could be Doc Ock.
Yeah. Because he goes, you. I remember now. Yeah.
So that could be cool. I quite like the look of Negative Suit Man. He looks like a decent villain to go with the others. So, yeah.
We saw him in last year's trailer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, with that crazy helicopter sequence.
Mm.
But then we see some actual gameplay, right, of this later on, so...
Yeah, how some of the combat would work like normally, I guess, rather than the stealthily.
Which looked cool. It looked like what we thought, right? It's like the Batman combat, but a lot faster and more fluid to suit the character. Yeah. Which looks cool. And, of course, open world swinging gameplay, which looks like it should, pretty much.
Although it did look like mostly like button prompts appearing on things during that sequence, and so as long as you push that button, you'd probably be fine.
I think especially in that sequence, but that was super kinetic, right? He was moving pretty fast, and the wisecracking was pretty decent.
I thought it was okay.
It's quite hard to write that stuff, I think.
Yeah, very hard. I think some lines landed and some lines didn't. I mean, I liked how calm he was about almost everything going on. He's
a bit more normal Peter Parker, established, right? Because the current Marvel Spider-Man is like all super young and surprised to be involved with any of it.
Hyper-referential as well. Yeah. That's his thing.
So they're not doing that. They're doing more classic.
Classic wisecracking.
Yeah, exactly.
Clack it, Riven. Clack it.
So it felt Spider-Man-y, and it felt high quality, and it felt like it would be fun.
Yeah, I'm not. I think in a way this might have downgraded my hype a little bit. I don't know. It looks well made, but there was something about it that's just like, all right, this is like. I think a bit of it was just, maybe this. This is exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I think it's unlikely to be as mind-blowing as, like, Arkham Asylum was.
Yeah. yeah, I think there's an element of inevitability to how this is turning out. Which isn't a bad thing for the game, for sure, but just like in terms of my hype.
Yeah, fair. I don't think it's going to be Game of the Year.
Well, I mean, this year at least. And it's looking like it's got less and less competition as everything pushes to 19.
That's true. Everyone's scared of Red Dead, so they're trying to get the hell out of October.
It seems that way. And that was the show. That was where it ended. They had a very quick look at another From Software game after the show, in the post-show, called Deracine, or Deracine, or something like that, of which we know very little. It just looked like ye olde house and some girl in it, and a flower comes back to life. As cryptic as ever, From, until you actually show us the game.
Mm.
And that was Sony, yeah. I don't know, strange show for them. Very strange show. They just focused in, didn't really see a great deal. As I say, no real new shocks.
I don't know, that
Nice.
ghost thing was kind of a shock reveal in the sense they looked really good and I never had no idea what it was going to be.
Well, I suppose for you, yeah, I think they've been, it had been seen before.
Oh, were you aware of that? Okay.
Yeah, Ghost of Tsushima had definitely been, it'd been talked about. I hadn't seen it myself, which is why it still worked for me, why the impact was still there. But at least I knew of its existence. Still doesn't make me any less hyped for it, though. Oh boy, did that look good. So good. Just get your format back, Sony. Don't do the weird shifty thing. Don't have your weird intermission. Sort your audio out if you are going to do a weird studio thing. I thought if you want another one where the feed seemed really bad while we were watching it as well, like cutting out to static periodically. Lots of artifacting going on, lots of glitches.
I noticed on a couple of the videos that I was watching, it's like every time it went to just a black screen, it had a bunch of lines across it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure whether that was actually just the feed from those or whether it was whatever I was watching it on.
Yeah. Again, it seemed over-compressed as well. Like the audio seemed kind of bad for some of it, and again, it's making it sound like maybe GameSpot. Again, I was using them for the feed. Like maybe they were having problems rather than Sony. But yeah, I don't know. I'd much rather they return to their previous format. I appreciate the considerable lack of talking.
You couldn't waste time talking when they had to move everyone around, except then they wasted time talking because they were moving everyone around.
Yeah, they did all.
They had to talk to us, not to the people who were there.
Did a lot of pointless stuff during the intermission, and I saw some of I still think Sean Layden looks a bit awkward on stage when he is talking. Like he doesn't feel like he's particularly comfortable being there. But I watched a little bit of him doing the post-show stuff. He's a pretty good panel speaker, right? You put him in that context, and he's really quite good. Like probably better than Phil in some respects at talking up his own game and things like that. He's which makes me wonder, that's why they chose to do the couch setup for PSX or something last year, because he is actually good at that. It just made for a crappy PSX, Anyway, yeah, props for Sean Layden. All right, I've got a bit of a scratchy throat, so I might have a quick beverage while Zach gets Nintendo started.
Okay.
Nintendo!
Because obviously Rob doesn't care about at least the first two things on this list.
Well, I am going to sit here and say I thought the music for Demon Ex Machina was pretty rad, but what a weird trailer.
Well, the weird part about it is how it just abruptly stopped.
Well, there's that. But it looked like it was a traditional trailer until about halfway through, and then it focused on a sequence of them just attacking the same thing over and over again in different ways.
I mean, that still seemed like part of the trailer to me.
Okay.
It was like they were just, here's some different robots doing different things.
But it was the same robots against the same thing.
Yeah, it just needs a boss fight.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. It turned into what looked like a montage trailer into just it was just weird. Just odd. But I thought that music was cool.
I guess.
Very un-Nintendo.
Well, yes. To immediately come into Nintendo was a bit weird.
A bit heavy metal.
Yeah. And then the second thing Rob also doesn't care about, and I guess none of us care about, is the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC. And, they're continuing that story, I guess. Or not really continuing. I don't know how that story goes. They're doing another part of that story. And that video also kind of weirdly abruptly ended as well.
I mean, it's kind of weird how they do end like that.
Yeah, that's why initially I just thought Nintendo was having problems, but it's like, this is pre-recorded, this can't be a fuck-up.
No, it's all organised, this one.
This is just how it's meant to be.
Yeah.
Gnome did walk in at the wrong moment during the Xenoblade stuff, and that when they had that... I mean, the character design in Xenoblade is a bit questionable when it comes to the females, but there was a bit where it zoomed in, just like her necklace was glowing.
Yeah.
Right near the boobs.
Well,
and they're quite well-endowed characters in Xenoblade.
Like,
so it's just like zoomed in on there, and she's like, oh boy.
Well, even in the previous, in like the first Xenoblade Chronicles one, helpfully, because you're the sword, who is also a woman.
The blades.
Due to the way the design is, it's like, oh, the bit of the sword that glows is conveniently right here in the middle of the chest.
Conveniently, yeah. Not at all intentional.
Well, I mean, it makes sense if you compare the size of the sword to the size of the woman.
Or is their head supposed to be the hilt?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would make sense.
Not the feet?
No.
Stab in the face?
Yes.
Stab your face, stab.
No, stab in the feet. Don't stab in the face.
Stab in the face.
And then Reggie turned up. He didn't sound very enthusiastic this year.
He didn't sound very enthusiastic. No.
So he toned it down a lot.
I'm not sure he looked that well.
No.
And like, I feel bad for Reggie. He was in that weird house background they used before. But he was basically there to talk a little bit about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee.
Yep.
Not really to say a great deal that we didn't already know, except for the Pokeball Plus thing.
Yeah. Well, we already knew about that, but we didn't know that there's a Mew in it, which is obviously all anything anyone cares about.
Yeah, so I've got to buy it. I've got to get that Mew.
Yeah, because it's an event Pokemon.
Well, I assume it's a way of like recapturing some of the Pokemon Go egg mechanic, right? You put something in it and you walk around and you train it, and because I guess the Switch probably doesn't have its motion sensors on all the time like the DS did. So
this is like clearly just like some special version of a Joy-Con that has slightly different, design to its internals to make it be able to function independently for,
a longer period of time, without draining too much battery, presumably.
And with like obviously internal storage or whatever it's doing.
And a speaker.
Whatever it's doing to actually contain the Pokemon data.
So are they using in those original Pokemon in these Pokemon games, are they using the old sound effects?
Yes.
They're like, oh right, so even
apart from possibly for Pikachu and Eevee, presumably.
Right. Because obviously the Pokeball went like with the old Game Boy noises.
Yeah, it made the Mew noise.
I don't know. Hard to get enthused about that. I suppose the battling looked kind of neat for how brief they've shown, but we've seen that previously.
Yeah.
Super Mario Party.
Yep, they're actually making a new one, and for some reason,
more like the old style.
For some reason, this is the time where they decided to add the Super to it.
Yeah.
Like most of the other Nintendo things have already had Super for like a couple of years now, but Mario Party's finally caught up.
Maybe they didn't. Maybe they thought Mario Party 11 was a really awkward name.
Maybe they finally decided not to continue the numbering.
So this looks like a weird one. Like for one thing, the dice goes to 0.
That might have been a special one though.
Yeah,
because it looks like that dice had a lot of zeros on it.
Right.
That might have been because he says like all or nothing, and it's like I guess that's probably a
right. Yeah, it might have been like max moves or no moves.
Yeah,
50-50. So it's got. Well, there was that. It seems like there are certain mini games that go full on Switch quirkiness. Like, how on earth did that demo they showed with the tanks work? How did it know where the switches are to link the maps together?
Because it's detecting where you drag off the screen and where you drag onto the screen.
Oh, you had to do that.
Yeah,
to show the
it draws a line behind her finger when she does it.
Oh, I did not see that. I missed that. I must have been writing a note. Yeah. Oh, well, that seemed kind of neat, kind of cool. If you're not like in front of the TV, like how does it? I mean, surely most people are going to be like playing this in front of a TV, not in a bar.
Well, not in a bar, but not necessarily in front of a TV. It could be children playing this, not.
Well, most likely, I suppose. I don't know. Some quirky ideas. Was there were some others? Weren't they? Were they using the screen in weird ways? But I can't remember what they were, or at least they were like LAN playing it somehow.
Well, yeah, they were definitely LAN playing it.
2-on-2 somehow. Maybe there's like some secret tactics games where one team can only see one thing and one team can only see a different thing.
I guess that makes sense.
And the big question is obviously, do you need 2 copies of the game to be able to do that stuff?
Yeah.
There's not been any real precedent for like game sharing or play share, whatever they used to call it, from like the DS era.
No.
And they didn't really show off much about how the actual board game functioned, but it looked a bit more traditional to me.
Well, it is a board game, and individual characters are moving.
Yeah, they're not moving as a group like anymore. So, like, maybe a return to form.
And for some reason, Goomba is a character.
Yeah, why not?
Because how is he going to do anything in a minigame which requires hands?
I hadn't thought that. Maybe all the games are designed to not have hands.
That would be very limiting on what those minigames could do. There's a lot of things where you're like climbing, punching, holding onto things,
playing music
chucking
instruments.
things. Traditionally, there's a lot of hand involvement.
Just holds it in his mouth.
Presumably, yes.
With an oddly shaped mouth that doesn't have much freedom of movement.
Yeah, like a chain jump.
Arf, arf. October 5th, so that's this year. I don't know. I'm probably not going to play full price for a Mario Party game ever. Actually, no, that's a lie. I did it for the first Wii one.
And I'm not sure that counted as full price because I seem to remember that was a Tesco, and I think we maybe didn't get that at what would have been considered actual full price.
No, because was Mario Party 8? Was that the one?
Yeah.
Was that, I had a bit of a palaver with that. I seem to remember because I was subject. Oh no! Which way around did it work? No, because you couldn't get hold of it in this country for a while because of the recall, because of the use of the word. So they had to rewrite that bit. So they recalled all the stock, so we couldn't get it for ages. So I can't remember when I actually got it. I just remember being in places and it being clearly marked as on sale, but them never having any copies of it. It's like, oh, come on! Fire Emblem on Switch. I mean, it's a Fire Emblem game. Another one.
Yes.
Where's Advance Wars, damn it?
Yeah, and well, the trouble is that now it looks like they're basically just trying to take Advance Wars and shove it into Fire Emblems, because now the individual units aren't individual units any longer. It's like there's the leader guy and then his unit.
Yeah.
And then those are the, if you have a unit of archers, they fire and then they get picked off individually, and it's like, it's like Advance Wars, how that works.
Kinda, yeah. Just in the Fire Emblem universe.
Yep. I mean, I guess it makes way more sense in terms of actually fighting them on a battlefield rather than having these singular dudes just out in the open running around.
I guess, yeah. I mean, visually it looked kind of nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Kinda. I don't know.
It was nice to see Fire Emblem up-resed a bit.
I didn't think those battle scenes were that impressive, though. They look kind of Dynasty Warriors-y.
Okay. Criticism where it's due. It's called Three Houses.
So hopefully there won't be free versions.
Yeah. Don't hold your breath. I get the feeling that might not be like each one might not be like as big, maybe. I don't know. Something about it screamed maybe not a full release.
Maybe. I think maybe what also made it feel like maybe it's not going to be a full release is like they didn't really focus on a character, which is normally the way Fire Emblem works.
I guess
you have the main dude.
Yeah, who's the lead in this? I guess that princess, whatever, on the chair.
I don't know though,
but she wouldn't be a combat character.
Well, she seemed like that would be more like the story character than the main character.
Who we're doing it for?
All the thing about the goddess and dragons and whatnot, which Fire Emblem tends to have.
Dragon. Yeah, I don't know. I find it hard to get hype about Fire Emblem. I don't know. It's not for me, I don't think.
Well, I think the older ones might have been the ones that were more like a tactical regular game. More like Advance Wars, but not in the way that this is like Advance
Wars. Right. So moving on, the inevitable happened.
Yep.
Fortnite is coming to Switch, because of course it is.
Shadow Drop.
It's out now. For free as well. So it might be the first, other than Pokemon Quest, I suppose, the first free-to-play game on Switch? Other than Pokemon Quest.
Maybe. I feel like there might have been at least one more. I don't remember what it was.
Bound to happen. Get those kids hooked.
Yeah.
On every platform imaginable. It's like Fortnite, like cross-platform in the sense that if I started playing on Switch and then started playing on PC, all my stuff comes with me.
Well, this is the controversy. Apparently that works if you go from Xbox to Switch, it works fine. If you go from PlayStation, it doesn't work.
If you go from PlayStation to anywhere, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, weird.
Because apparently, due to the PlayStation policies and whatnot, it just locks the account for the PlayStation.
Weird. Okay, so is that due to how Epic have to segregate the servers?
Well,
I
mean, no one really knows, but everyone is just assuming it's because of the Sony crossplay policy and all their bullshit about not letting that happen. It's like, this is another case of that, where it's just like, if you're going to use an account on a different system, we're not going to let you do that.
I wonder if Destiny has that problem. I assume it must. Like, if you want to transfer... I mean, Destiny doesn't have, full-on character transfers anyway, but, if you ever wanted to move from, PC to Xbox, maybe they didn't bother investigating it because PlayStation wouldn't budge. Alright, so it's cool that does work, though. So I could take my Switch on the go, play a few rounds of Fortnite, because that's all I had to hand, and then come home and play it on my PC.
Yeah, I think so.
And it would be all the same stuff.
Yeah.
That's cool. Good on them.
It is cool.
That's how games should be. Come on, Sony. Get with it. Who wants some more kitchen action?
Yes.
We need to finish the first kitchen action. We went back and played some of Overcooked recently, and it's still hella fun, although we're doing all the hard stuff now, and it's really hard. But how about some Overcooked 2, where even more crazy stuff can happen?
How about Overcooked 2, where you can actually throw things rather than just sort of throw things?
Yeah. A proper ingredient chucking mechanic now. That changes everything.
Well, it automatically makes you think of what the level's going to be like, where it's just going to be like, there's just going to be a big hole down the middle, and you actually have to throw things.
You're going to have to throw things. Yeah, and of course, those throws are going to go wrong.
Yep. Someone's
going to throw it right in the gap, or down the trash.
Yep.
Hilarity ensues. And some sort of mechanic where kitchens crash into kitchens.
Well, I mean, it's just
another... the level sort of style.
Just another, level evolution mechanic. They kind of had it, except it was normally a timer in the first game, like the earthquake level.
Yeah. It would happen at regular intervals. And still, it's cool. I assume it's coming to more platforms than Switch.
Probably.
I assume there's a Steam version, hopefully. There's a bit of a thing about Killer Queen Black. I'd never heard of this before, and they were like, hey, this big deal game is coming to Phenomenon, I think they called it.
Yeah, supposedly it's quite well known.
I have no idea. Is it just another sort of 2D couch competitive thing?
Yeah, maybe. It's like iDarb with graphics.
iDarb with pixel graphics. iDarb. Alright, and that's coming to the Switch, as is Hollow Knight. Yeah, seems like a good fit. Why not? A little bit of a reminder that Octopath Traveler is still a thing.
And apparently they have a new demo. There's even
is it
more
a different demo?
Well, I mean, that seemed to be what they were saying. I haven't actually downloaded it to check on the thing. But...
Okay. Out in July.
Yeah.
I think they'd said that before.
Yeah.
Time for a really, really fast montage.
Time for the only thing that Rob cares about.
I'm looking through this bit, wondering what? Oh yes. Oh yes. I'm sure I've missed a lot of stuff here, but was it called War Groove?
Yeah.
Is the one that caught my eye?
Well, that's the one we talked about before. The one that's basically trying to make Advance Wars but not Advance Wars.
Yeah, that thing.
It looked a lot like Advance Wars, and isn't Tiny Metal, which is the other game that was really desperately trying to be Advance Wars.
Yeah,
but apparently fell a bit short. Want to keep an eye on, I think, because if it nails it, then sure, they can do it instead. If Sony, in the same way that Nintendo is like, if Nintendo aren't going to make F-Zero, then I'm quite happy with Fast RMX.
I'm not happy with anything that's not Advance Wars. Advance Wars is the only one.
It's the only one. But what if it's as good or better, just with a different name? What if it doesn't have Wrenchman and Banjo Guy?
You want classic Advance Wars characters.
Wrenchman and Banjo Guy. I'd play that game. What else we got? PixArk. Again, I think we knew about that, but the sort of Minecraft variant of Ark Survival Evolved. Minecraft-like, I suppose. Everything's cubic. Dragon Ball Fighters. Or Fighter Z is getting a Switch version, naturally. Seems like a good fit. I'm just a bit surprised the Switch could do that style of graphics, because everyone thought it's like, oh no, this is all a like modern console thing. It's like, no, Switch can do it just fine. Ninjala. Shrug. The Octo expansion for Splatoon.
It seemed highly unnecessary to show that.
They didn't actually announce the release date of it then.
They didn't announce that it's pretty much out immediately after the press conference.
It just came out immediately. But they didn't say that in this thing.
Which is why that seemed really weird.
Yeah.
It's like, it's coming in the summer. As in,
right now. Yeah. Weird. Very weird. But yeah, that's out. Crash Bandicoot, just a reminder that the trilogy, the remake trilogy is coming. Carcassonne.
Yep, the only thing Rob cares about.
Hell yeah. I mean, so much, yeah. I'll be playing far too much of this, for sure. I've had pangs recently, because I can play the 360 version on back compat, now on Xbone. And a bit of me's like, I should start playing Carcassonne again. I love that game. The actual Ark Survival Evolved, as well as PixArk, is coming to the Switch. FIFA, of course, is coming to the Switch. Wasteland 2, interestingly. Is that like a PC-only sort of RPG experience? Did that get a console release?
I don't remember.
Interesting choice. Popular amongst some squads I follow online. Paladins, interestingly, getting a Switch version. Also free to play. And just, coming out there. And I think it's available now as well. Yeah. Shadow Drop. Both the two like free to play shooters, both shadow dropping. I've written Fallout here. It can't be Fallout.
Fallout Shelter.
Fallout Shelter, that's it. Dark Souls Remastered. We knew. Just getting a little bit of screen time. Monster Hunter Generations. Again, we knew that was coming. A little bit of a graphical improvement, I think, over the other versions. The World Ends With You. Yes, we knew that was coming. Mega Man 11. Word from the show floor is it's everything you want it to be.
Except for the animations.
Again. Oh, really? Sounds like it's not Mighty Number 9. So
no.
Be happy. and of course Mario Tennis, which is like out on the 22nd, so really close. And now we get into the meat of it. Let's do this.
Literally, because it's just like that was pretty much the end of everything else.
That was half the show was dedicated to Smash Ultimate.
You'll also notice that there was no mention of Metroid Prime. There was also no mention of the Yoshi thing.
No, none at all. Yeah, absolutely no sign of either of those, weirdly.
No additional information about the actual Pokemon game.
Nope.
Not that was really expected at this point, since they'd only just done their re-announcement of it after the Pokemon Go thing.
I mean, whatever in some respects, right? Nintendo do things at their own pace. They don't do E3 just because it's E3 anymore. They just do a direct.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like they eke out the news over the course of the year now. So I'd give it 3 months. I think we'll see another video and they'll drill down on something. Probably Yoshi would be my guess.
I don't think there's that much to drill down on.
No, they might not do like a 20-minute special, but oh my days, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, that's what we've got. And the way they revealed it, super cool. I like how they did the sort of I mean,
well, the start bit was
so when they said here we're going to introduce some fighters that are in the game, and we're going to talk about, we're going to put a little number on screen that indicates when they joined the franchise. And at this point, my brain started to peg what was going on, just because they highlighted that number.
Well, the thing is,
the
first thing about the intro bit is first of all, I mean, they did the joke where it's just the end. So it's no, we're actually going to continue talking about this forever.
Super Smash Bros. Is a game where beloved characters fight each other to knock them off the stage at the end.
It's okay, that's the joke. But then, they kind of actually, maybe not intentionally, kind of continued that joke by having, a slightly too long pause between each section. It's
yeah.
I'm sure you'd like to find out who's in Smash Bros. We made a video about who's in Smash Brothers.
Yeah.
The number next to the character tells you about when they joined the series. It's just these pauses are just slightly too long. I think that was actually due to the English translation being shorter than the Japanese speaking part.
Yeah, you might be right.
But still, it was build that suspense accidentally.
I liked it. I liked the pacing. I thought it worked. It's there's a deliberateness, there's an oddly business-like professionalism to how that comes across.
Yeah,
and I kind of appreciate it.
But yeah, when they're the number next to the character indicates the order in which they join the Smash Bros. Sequence. And then
it's oh, here we go. I mean, and I'm they're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. They're going to go up.
Well, they're not
okay. They don't. They jump around. So they immediately go 1, 4.
Yeah.
With Mario and Samus being first out. And they're okay, those are going to be in the game.
Depending on how you saw that, some people, I think I kind of saw it this way. It was just okay, so then, that's just here's your little history tidbit. It's not really necessarily going to mean anything if they're going to jump through the numbers at random.
Not necessarily, yeah. But then it kept going.
Well, but then it got to Snake, and that was where you know what the fuck's going on at that point.
I mean, but in some of the I've gone back to watch reaction videos of this because it's fun, actually. Because then most people seem to get what was going on when Pichu turned up.
Well, yeah, because when you get to Snake and it says everyone's here, that's you're and does that mean? And then it's the next one after that is Pichu. It's
everyone's here.
I thought Pichu was pre-Snake.
No, Pichu's the one immediately after Snake.
Oh, okay.
That's the confirmation of what everyone's here actually means.
Yeah.
It's oh, yeah, you actually mean it.
Yeah, I'd already pegged it at this point, but as soon as Snake turned up, and they very clearly put on screen, everyone is here.
For some reason, though, it must be, I'm assuming it was something to do with the translation of the subtitles. I watched because for some reason, I watched some videos of German people reacting to it, and they, almost all of them, were saying, oh, it must be all the characters right from the start. So I was I wonder if the subtitle was just gave it away slightly in German.
Probably.
I don't know, but yeah, I was already thinking that way at that point when they pointed out the number thing.
Yeah.
And it was just they're going to go through and say it's going to be everyone. That was immediately what I thought. But I was thrown a little by the lack of sequence.
But in German, most of the reactions I saw, they always thought that. So when it came up with inkling and it said 64, they're oh shit, there's 64 characters in this game. Even at that point. Which was well before the actual reveal of what was going on.
Well, they haven't announced 64 yet, have they?
Well, yes, they have, because Inkling is 64.
Okay. But surely Ridley makes that 65?
Yes.
Okay.
But he came later.
Okay. Yeah, so new Smash. Okay.
They did that.
Yeah.
And then had a nice bit of artwork, which was nice.
Yeah. It's like, here's everyone we've got in the game so far.
Here's a poster that hopefully they're going to sell, I guess, because everyone wants it.
Well, imagine it in one of my long frames that I've got in this house.
Probably be longer than that.
Yeah, probably.
And then they did the Nintendo thing of, let's go into really unnecessary detail.
What I really loved.
I mean, it's nice for us who like Smash Brothers.
I loved all
but I'm sure a lot of people were kind of bored.
Yeah, I mean, there were some details that even fans of the series are a little bit like, okay, you didn't need to.
Well, there was some of them.
You didn't need to tell us that you changed the Wii Fit trainer's face because the Wii Fit development team asked you to.
That's kind of okay. But like, there was the ones that were like legitimately unnecessary. Like, when Oliver gets hit, his helmet gets cracked, but it's just a cosmetic thing that disappears in like half a second. Yeah, it's like, why did you feel that necessary to tell us? Really,
didn't need to show that. Didn't need to show that. I was just happy that Olimar was getting his butt kicked. Hate that guy. Oh. But yeah, no, I thought all the detail was cool. They were making a sort of they've changed all the final smashes up, so it looks like there's no like transformative ones where you literally become another character now.
Well, it's all just either
it's like instant effect.
Yeah, almost. It's either just like instant trigger or targeted trigger.
Mm. Yeah, there seems to be some repetition in some of the smashes, you could say that DK's Rapid Punch and Gigamax Rapid Punch look very much the same.
Well, I mean, all the ones that are that kind of hit zone thing are pretty much the same.
Yeah. I don't know, some of them have like very have stylistic differences at least. Like, but the Light Chariot, I suppose, looks a bit like how they've just reused how they did the Kirby air ride thing. Yeah. But you got like some of them behave differently. Like the Zero Suit Samus new attack is a little different.
Targeted ones again.
It's targeted, but behaves differently. They were trying to say it's like, hey, our smash is all the final smashes are quicker and more to the punch than they were. And then they showed the Star Fox one, which seems to take a reasonable amount of time because it's got an animation sequence. And the Mega Man ones look any different, so.
Apart from the
two new guys in the back that they had to point out. Doesn't change how it works, but and then they also had to go into the detail of like what Echo characters are.
Well, they had to come up with a real name for clones to stop everyone calling them clones, even though everyone's going to continue to call them clones.
Yeah, and even though the fact they didn't apply the clone moniker to the 3 Links.
Well, the trick was that we were trying to work out is like, so Lucina is obviously a Marth clone, because like really the only difference between them is the very slight difference in like the hit zones of the swords.
Right, yeah.
Like Marth is all tip and then Lucina has less of the tip mechanics.
Yeah. And it's yeah.
So it's like those
the moveset is identical.
Those are definitely clone.
Yeah.
But then you've got Dark Pit and Pit and it's like, okay, that's almost
less so.
Almost fully cloned, except like the arrows are different and the side B dash move is slightly different. Mm. That's more or less all there is different between Pit and Dark Pit. So it's like, okay, that's still a clone Echo fighter thing.
Just.
But then like it's like, so why is Dr. Mario not a clone?
Yeah.
Because he clearly is just a clone of Mario.
Well, his down B's different.
Wait, kind of, yes, because it wasn't the Flood, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, is one move enough to make it a not clone? And apparently the answer is yes.
Yes, apparently, yeah.
Even though Dark Pit technically kind of has moves that aren't the same as Pit.
They're trying to make it sound like they've basically gone through every character and been like, okay, how do we balance this, or what's the trick to improving this?
Well, it also sounds like they've just maybe what we don't know yet is that some of the other clones actually have been legitimately changed. Like, for example, Dr. Mario now has a completely different down aerial from Mario.
Mm.
So that's actually another legitimately different move.
Mm.
And by the looks of it, Ganondorf has his sword for attacks now, so that's not quite so much a clone of Captain Falcon.
Yeah, you're right. I did notice that. It's just like I don't remember that bit.
I mean, some of his attacks he still has the equivalent of the Falcon Punch, and he still has the equivalent of the Falcon dive sideways thing where he grabs people instead of punching them.
Yeah,
it's like he's still more or less based on
similar.
Falcon.
He's still similar. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of amazing they've managed to keep all of the licenses, right? All of them.
Kind of.
Even the DLC characters from the Wii U that they've kept the Cloud license. For
I don't think. I mean, the Cloud license is probably one of the easier ones because I'm sure they still want people to keep thinking about Final Fantasy VII until it eventually comes out.
I guess. But like Ryu.
Well, I mean, if they're already like sort of in with the fighting game developer crowd at the moment,
maybe, but I don't know.
It might be easier to get along with that.
Bayonetta's obviously an easy one for them. They've still got a relationship going. Didn't see Bayonetta 3.
Well, no, they're not going to.
It's just dawned on me. I'm so bummed.
They weren't going to mention that in Smash Bros. Either, even though everyone was like, "Okay, you've got the 1 and 2 costumes. Where's the 3 costume?" But of course, that wasn't. They weren't going to spoil that there.
Not yet.
If they do put it in, which presumably they will.
I didn't check Bayonetta 3. Buggeration.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, like, the Snake license is just like, Konami wants money from a license that they're not going to use for anything else any longer.
How do you feel about Snake's butt?
It looks the same.
Yeah, I don't know what that conversation's about.
Just Kojima's obsessed with butts.
Did Kojima start this? Oh, I suppose it's Snake's, yeah, well... Always was very tight, wasn't it? Always,
he has a lot of, even in Smash Brothers, it was a lot of like dramatic crawling along the ground. The butt in the air.
Could you make him do the snake, like the literal snake crawl? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't remember.
If you move slow enough. I wonder if Snake still has like his final smash is like getting the chopper and lob grenades.
I don't think it is. I think it's more like the I think it's a different version of like the guided missile. Like it now just has lock-on icons, so it's targeted somehow. I'm not sure exactly how it actually triggers though, because I've never seen anyone hit with it. It seems quite easy to avoid.
I suppose, okay, so let's raise some of my concerns at this point, and I know you disagree with some of these already because we've talked about this earlier, but it has more than a passing resemblance to how the Wii U version looks to me. Like, it doesn't look like it's been much upgraded.
It has, though. The lighting is clearly better, and the models are way better as well, and, like, more detailed.
See, I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
You haven't looked hard enough.
Yeah, I'd like to see some comparisons, but, like, at least if it is there, it's like it's not noticeably... It's not better enough for me to go, wow!
I mean,
it looks like
even
that.
Even when they showed the Wii U game in that joke at the start, you could clearly see the difference between that and when they showed Mario again. Like, okay, so the design even there is like Mario's closer to like the Brawl where he's got actual textures.
I don't know. I just have no recollection of that. Like, I know that there are some improvements in the sense that, like, I don't think the Wii U version actually hit full 1080, for instance, whereas the docked Switch version will. Like, it will hit a constant 1080 at 60, like, no problem. Which is nice. I mean, we haven't really... I mean, they showed us 2 new stages, but it's like, I want way more than 2 new stages. Come on, guys. And I want way more than 2 new characters. Come on. Like, yes, everyone's back. Yes, that's awesome. It's like, it's the ultimate Smash package. 3?
You forgot about Daisy.
Oh, yeah.
Technically a new character.
I did forget about Daisy.
It's an Echo. It's a clone of Peach, obviously.
Hi, I'm Daisy. I hope she says that a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's got to at least be one of the taunts.
Hi, I'm Daisy.
So you can spam it.
So who are the new characters? Ridley?
Ridley, yep.
That was revealed right at the end.
And the Splatoon people.
Yep, Inklings.
And that's it.
And Daisy, I guess, but she's an echo of Peach.
Right. But then everything else.
Yeah, Sakurai did sort of say, we made bringing everyone back our top priority, so I hope you're not hoping for too many new characters.
Which means there's going to be some.
There's going to be some.
It's just the internet's obsessed with Waluigi for some reason.
Well, that's not going to happen.
No, they've already shown him as an assist. Unless that's a big troll.
No, that's not the right kind of troll for that. I mean, it's safe to assume that now that Ridley is in, the internet meme character of choice is going to become Waluigi.
It already has. It's too late.
Apart from, Sans.
Wow.
Sans being the other one. But that depends on whether you like Undertale or not. It's Waluigi for everyone else.
There's been so many Waluigi stuff turning up, like the last couple of days. The best one I've seen is where someone like takes the master hand from Melee and just sort of like slowly unerasers that it's Waluigi's hand.
Yes.
Love that.
It all makes sense.
It does.
But yes, really. They finally gave in. Just put him in. And then, because this is what they do, they're like, Ridley hits the big time because he's big.
He's massive.
And also one of his taunts is he just stands up straight and looks even bigger because he's normally hunched over. And it's just like, yeah, okay, we get it.
Yeah, really.
You said he was too big to go in the game and then you put him in. God.
And shrunk him down. Just straight up murders Mario.
Well,
in that trailer.
I don't know if he straight up he definitely murders Mega Man because you hear the death noise, but I'm not sure he actually does murder Mario.
Yeah, get hyped for Smash. GameCube controllers are back.
Yeah.
I mean, that had all been leaked ages ago that they had added compatibility in the Switch. More general compatibility this time, though, was the interesting thing with that, right? Because you can use those Cube controllers in other stuff. They just work like a controller. Which I haven't tried, admittedly. But I probably should.
Well, you probably should just to see whether your third-party adapter actually works with the Switch.
True. Although they did at least say that they're not just allowing GameCube controllers to be working, they are manufacturing more. They're making more Cube controllers and more of those adapters, which is great, because those adapters were quite hard to come by.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll get an official one this time that's likely going to work a little longer. Yeah, I want to see a lot more stages. I want to see a lot more of the not just fighting stuff. Like, is there a story? No, is the answer. I don't think they're going to do one.
I think they will, because the thing that, like, to me was a weirdly out of place thing that maybe hints towards story mode is in the Ridley reveal trailer. As they do, like, after the logo shows up, there's a little bit more. Except all it is Zero Suit Samus jumping out of the final Samus explosion. It's why is that there? Because it's not like it's revealing her as a character or anything. It's just like a story segment, as though it were an actual, like, a really subtle hint towards an actual story.
Okay.
As in, like, almost a Mortal Kombat thing where it's like you're transitioning from the sequence where it's like you have been normal Samus before that point, and now you have to fight Ridley as Zero Suit Samus.
I can see you thinking. All right.
I mean, that's probably thinking way too much into it, but otherwise, why is that there?
Why is that there? Very good point. I do remember thinking that to myself in the sense that it's like, okay, was that necessary? What does that tell us? Smash Ultimate. I mean, no brainer, right? We're getting this.
Well, yeah.
So it's Smash, but Game of the Year. But like, it's barely coming out this year, right? It just zings December.
Well, that's pretty much what they already said, I guess.
I mean, they just said it was this year prior to this.
Well, I think we kind of assumed that it was going to be like right at the end.
Maybe not that right at the end. Like, was it 12th or something? 7th. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought.
By like a week.
Yeah.
It's 1 week better than you thought. Wow.
It's a little bit better. It's not like it gives people a little bit of time to pick it up for Christmas.
Well, you can do it digitally, so it won't be a problem.
Sure. Less of a surprise. It's like, why is there Smash Brothers on my Switch, Daddy?
Well, I don't know, because... Actually, wait, does the Switch have the presents? No, it doesn't, does it?
No, I don't think it does.
Damn it. If only it still had that from... Because then you could be like, okay, don't open that present on your home screen until Christmas, like the 3DS.
But I opened it, or I hovered over the gift, and it said, you got a gift of Smash Brothers.
I don't think it does though, does it?
I thought it did.
I don't know on the 3DS. You can't really hover on the 3DS. Yes.
You move the cursor with the.
Yeah,
the
but I'm not
D-pad.
sure it even says what's in it.
I thought it did.
I don't remember.
If they I know it does if they dropped a demo
Right
on your system, or the link to a demo, which is what actually happened. It's a Smashy Smash. John Marston, guest character.
No. Well, there was that leak that happened at some point, I don't know when, that supposedly had a picture of the new version of Battlefield, which is where you're like, okay, so this leak is probably legitimate. Except at the time, no one was sure, because it's like, okay, there's a new picture of Battlefield, there's Ridley, and it's like, no, everyone was like, okay, that would be weird, and then that turned out to be true. And then the other characters that were leaked in that leak were Simon Belmont, which I guess makes sense. That's fine.
Yeah, it's what, Super Castlevania?
Yeah, Castlevania representation. And for some reason, Sora. And I'm like, I don't see that.
What, Kingdom Hearts?
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts.
That's a stretch.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Cloud isn't really anything to do with Nintendo either.
No. I mean, and it's, I guess, Square Enix, so they do already have a relationship.
And they might want to push that Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, maybe. But it's not like Kingdom Hearts is coming out on the Switch.
No. I think that's a stretch. But then Cloud would have seemed like a stretch.
So far, that leak is 2 for 4, so, you know, it's going well.
DLC?
You'd hope not, if they're going to say, like, if they've gone to all this, we're bringing the DLC characters back, and they're no longer DLC, but also DLC. That would be a bit weird.
But they're going to have DLC.
They should just do Splatoon and just have free updates. I mean, come on.
What you think? Because it will be wrapped into like Nintendo Online, they think that will help pay for it.
Well, maybe. It'd certainly be one way to encourage people to continue to pay for online.
I mean, no further talk about what Nintendo Online is at this point.
Also, another thing they didn't mention at all, but that was unlikely to happen at E3,
I guess, yeah. That's the show. That's E3.
Yep.
Wow.
Not a lot really else happening outside. There was a Sonic Team Racing official reveal trailer, and they put some gameplay footage out before that I think we talked about last time on the cast.
Yeah.
I think that game looks bad.
Well, it looks like an average ass game.
Yeah, but Transformed was above an average ass game. So this feels like a disappointing step back. Boo to it.
And our predictions were entirely correct about Team Sonic, and then the other Heroes teams, at least Team Dark.
Yeah.
They used the same team as Heroes, so it's like, we're probably going to be seeing the other two Heroes teams, probably.
And, they said there's 5 teams in total.
So the other two Heroes teams and the birds from Sonic.
No, there's not even that, apparently. Like, it's fairly mainstream stuff.
No.
Not weird and wonderful at all, really. People that have played the game have said like the Wisp power-ups are somewhat ununinspiring.
Well, like, I mean, because they're Wisp power-ups.
Yeah, they don't even do anything weird in terms of kart racing, right? There's no quirk to them. Yeah, I don't know. Bad vibes, getting bad vibes. Also, Crush 40, brought them back.
Well, that should be good-ish for some of the musics. Maybe not all of them.
Maybe.
Some percentage of them will probably be okay.
And also definitely not the wider Sega family in this one. Just Sonic. But those Richard Jack, however you pronounce his name, remixes from Transform. It's good stuff. I think we discovered the other day that Richard Jack works on the new Crystal Maze, and has done some of the remade music for that. Fun fact: the same Richard Jack as well, of Jet Set Radio and other Sega stuff fame.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Not even kidding. Same guy.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's nothing else. Double Fine said that Grim Fandango is coming to Switch.
Okay, I play that on PC, but that's fine.
Yeah, I know.
That's good.
Take it with you.
Yeah.
I mean, they made that PC version of the game quite pick up and play, right? You could just stop it.
Yeah, it was quite straightforward.
So, why not? Why not check it on Switch? Stop anywhere, you'll be fine. Yeah, I think that was the show. I can't think of anything else. Show of the show.
Show of the show.
Except EA.
Well, definitely not EA. EA, well, of course, EA get the Losers Award. I mean, they pretty much made the Losers Award themselves. Melted it down for scrap and got a bad deal on the scrap from their own Loser Award. Just atrocious. It might be the worst they've ever been. I want to say in terms of like pure sickness,
pure sick,
and delivery. I've got to hand it to Microsoft, but I don't. Other than Halo Infinite, I'm not sure their game lineup necessarily reflects the slickness of show.
Perhaps not. I think, actually, the biggest surprise and most hype was probably Halo Infinite, actually, for me.
Yeah.
Although it's way off, so... Oh, and I admittedly, Cyberpunk, I already knew about that, but it sounds amazing.
Get it on PC. It looks amazing, get it on PC. And almost certainly going to get a PS3 release, a PS4 release. PS3 release.
Apparently, they're targeting current gen for sure for it, even if it's a little ways off. Although I'm struggling to play. I'm getting bad RSI at the moment, so I don't think I'll be playing any first-person PC games for a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Your mouse hand is suffering.
Yeah, it's fucked.
Oh man.
I've switched mouse hands for work and stuff.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah.
Like trying to left-hand it?
Yeah, I'm left-handed it. It's the only way because it's too painful otherwise.
Oh man. Does it affect your typing?
Yeah, it's not so bad though. Anyway, never mind.
Typing?
Yeah, no, I'm trying. It's not that bad, but it is bad with the mouse. Like I can't do that.
Oh man.
Yeah,
sucks.
Sucks.
A controller's still okay.
Yeah, just about.
All right, more time on the Switch. Doctor prescribes.
Basically.
Good time to get that PS4.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in time for Red Dead.
Indeed. Got to play God of War, I think, first.
Oh man, yeah, I really do want to play that game. I'll have to get a PS4 first, but
and then Spider-Man, and I should probably play The Last of Us before Last of Us Remastered does come out. Before Last of Us 2 does come out.
Yeah. Well, worst case scenario, you can borrow my PS3 and the original copy of Last of Us, but
yeah, I'm sure I can get the remastered. Although it's quite hard to get a disc copy, but I think I could just download it.
Yeah, you can just digitally get all of it. I'm sure it'll be on offer. Probably right now, in fact.
Probably is, yeah.
Was there an opposite RSI?
No, I have controller RSI, not the mouse.
Oh, weird.
So if I use controllers too much, it starts getting bad.
The tip of my right thumb is still a bit tingly and not right after over-enthusiastically playing the Mario Tennis demo. I think I've done myself some damage.
Somehow.
Tennis elbow.
Yeah, tennis thumbo. Thumbo like Dumbo. As in, I'm going to get very drunk and fly away.
Okay. Sounds like an appropriate end to this podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us, listeners, for our epic two-parter for E3 2018. And we'll join you in a couple of weeks for a regularly scheduled Saladcast.
Ghost of Tsushima! Remember that hit.
Indeed.
Bye.
Bye.